All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. This is all about me. Screw the rest of these guys. Welcome to Herp House Rock. We've got Jake the Snake with us today. Also tag teaming him is Hulker Herps up here. Chad the Man. Stay tuned. It's going to be a wild one.
Oh,
Crack
a little bit rusty on that one, Ryan. A lot of rust.
There's no rust.
I felt some rust.
That was a precision instrument.
Oh, you know what I forgot about the podcast? Sorry, Chad. We're going to get to you in a second. I forgot that we just fuck with each other the whole time. Like, I missed that, Ryan, honestly.
It's happening already. Are we throwing down in the Walmart parking lot?
This is already going down, buddy. Already going down. But, well, here we go. Chad Hulker time, which, by the way, is probably the best fucking time ever. If you guys have never Chad Hulkered, you got to step it up. You ever see him at the show, you got to spend some time with this guy. You see us together, don't even fucking come over because we already have a thing. We don't need you.
Yeah, it will be awkward then.
It's going to be awkward for you. But,
Look,
meantime, Chad, yeah. So, same bullshit as every podcast. Chad, let's hear about those early days, buddy. People think you've only been doing this for about 2 years.
No, people know me more than longer than that. I've been doing Tinley for like 8 years, 7 years, something like that. I'm old, dude. I'm older than all you guys. Been doing this longer than Dave, right?
Well, yeah, probably.
When did you get in, Dave? When is, say, your first acquisition? Maybe your first year breeding something, anything.
2002 was the first time I bought an animal for breeding. 2005 was the first time I got a litter. I did.
Okay. So I was starting to collect. Like, so within the first year, so 1994 is when I started just buying animals in general, like reptiles. And then, dude, within 6 months, I was buying pairs in order to breed. So kind of had a mentor real early on. There was a really good exotic shop here. And the guy that ran it was already in the industry, already doing breeding, already doing shows, already had a business doing like Daytona. Well, it was Orlando at the time. And already had that going on. And this was all pre-internet. You would have to call. It was all like ads in a Reptiles magazine. You'd have to call and like get a faxed price list. This was like those days. So by 95, I was already producing animals. And 95 was the first year he was vending Orlando. And so I was just an employee at the shop. So that was like my part-time job. And dude, we got in the van and went to Orlando. And that was like my first reptile show outside of like a couple of local shows. So that dude, right from then on, it was like never turned back. I saw this dude sold like dry goods. He had like I don't know who all does like those dry goods shows, like where they bring a whole box truck full of like aquariums and all that stuff. So, dude, I swear we had like 10 grand in our pockets just from freaking people buying shit and snakes and stuff back in those days. It was ridiculous. So, within a couple of years of breeding, me and a couple buddies that worked at the shop went and did our own thing. And we still kind of, you guys probably know Dennis that goes with me to Tinley and Daytona. He's been with me doing this since then, since 95.
Wow.
So, looking back, but it's funny that like I've been doing this that long, but on a very small hobby level. Looking back, like I remember when Archett was small, like he'd have a couple, like 1 or 2 tables at these shows, and he did like every show. And man, just looking back, like what I would have done different, like I could really, I've been doing it long enough to be way bigger than I am,
So you're saying you could be almost, Dave Levinson level or bigger?
Oh, dude, I don't know that I would ever want to be that level. That's too much.
It's not the worst, buddy. You know you like to visit.
It's not bad. It's not. I don't know how you do it.
It's hard to even just look at him sometimes. I'll tell you.
I know. And he's still got energy. He's and spunk. Yeah. This guy's he's an animal.
Yeah. I fake it a lot.
But it is cool. Like it's cool, like being around when just say Kabelka, for instance. Like I remember when he was just a kid at the shows buying like the buying up his collection, starting it brand new, not even producing animals yet, but just buying all these key animals that he's producing stuff from today. It's really cool.
Nice.
So you're calling yourself a hobbyist level. About how many clutches do you produce?
Dude, I totally am way smaller than most people think. Like I'm at around 45 this year, and that's like pretty good for me. I'm usually like in the mid 30s,
Wow.
I'm small. Like I probably have 100 adults.
But
you're only working with ball pythons?
That's all I breed. It's all I do now. Like I didn't start with ball pythons. I started with colubrids. Like North American rat snakes were amazing. Like I got really into that, all horns, got into old world rat snakes all the 90s. A little venomous, skinks, dragons, turtles, I mean, I did it all. And by the time, what happened, anybody that works with multiple species knows the challenges of creating the habitat for everything. It's kind of hard to do. So, and I had ball pythons then. I had ball pythons in the 90s. I did normals, and I did, I was picking through wild caught stuff. I was kind of playing the game that other people were playing, just never had the luck. But once the morph craze hit, like pastels came out and albinos came out, you saw the first pieds in the reptile magazine. That's what, man, the wheels started turning, and everybody did it. Everybody kind of ditched their colubrids and their other projects and just went all ball pythons. A lot of people did that. So I'm one of those guys. I just kind of, not that I don't appreciate all those species. I really wish I had the space and time to do it all, because I like all of it. But for now, and I'll probably, whenever I'm able to acquire more space, I'll probably get back into it, doing colubrids and skinks and stuff like that. And I miss doing a lot of that stuff, but the ball pythons made a lot of sense at the time, and it still does. But I mean, every time I go to a show and start seeing not just the prices, but the variety of colubrids coming back in the game, man, it's like, it makes me want to get back into it bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you're talking about your ball pythons though, man. Like you've had a lot of really good things that have happened to your collection. Shrapnel popping up in an animal. You had your own Platy Daddy line pop up, and was that an import female that came from, or?
It was. Well, it was like a farm baby, just back when lessers were still worth making, like lesser male to normal female, like this in that time frame. I want to say it was like 2009 or so. I did a lesser to a normal, just trying to make lesser females to make blue eyes. You know what I mean? That was the game. But dude, I hit like some lessers, and 4 of them were super pale. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I thought there was like hypo or what. So I just started posting pictures up, and people, of course, clued me into Platy, and I sent the pictures to Ralph, and he verified it. So I hit like 2.2, I think in 2010, Platy Daddies. Like, this was back when they were a big deal. Now, you know what I mean? I was still making them up to a couple years ago. Now I don't have any more. I don't think I have any. I think I got rid of all of them.
Okay. Well, they served their purpose for a while, and then you moved on. I mean, I still have a male from you that came for that project. I think it was a pin Platy bamboo, which is a fucking awesome animal.
Yep.
And then, the shrapnel gene, which was another really great one that I keep on fucking telling you, man, it's time to start working on your shrapnel stuff.
I'm working on it. Got some stuff going.
I hope so.
When I kind of stalled on that project after the first 2 or 3 years. The original animal was like a super emperor shrapnel. So it was like a super pastel lesser pen shrapnel. I bought it as obviously super emperor. Paid a lot of money for it because that was like a big animal back in the day when I bought it. And the babies, when they hatched, I don't remember what I bred it to right off the bat. Probably like a normal or something. Dude, there was like the craziest dark, stripy, granity, spotty lessers, like real weird. And I'm like, man, this isn't right. I've been doing this long enough. These don't look right at all. So I posted a little bit of them and got back with the breeder I bought them from. And he's like, it might, he didn't know because he's been hatching some of these, but he never really marketed them. He just kind of overlooked them or he just definitely didn't market them. And he said there was like a granite gene or something in there. But granite at the time was figured, really most people thought it wasn't hereditary. It wasn't anything cool. Nobody really cared about it. but these were cool. I mean, I couldn't deny it. I'm like, these don't. This isn't something that I'm just going to sweep under the rug. So he's told me to go ahead and market it, name it, and I put it out there and did really well like this second year with it. But man, the fact that that male had so many genes and everything was pastel and thin, it just wasn't the right fit. After a few years of seeing that, everybody was over it, you know, and I didn't have it mixed into the cool stuff yet. I didn't have it in yellow belly and black pastel and the dark morphs, which makes it look really cool. So I'm working on that now. I mean, sometime next year, I should hopefully, and supers aren't really a thing yet. So I've seen one. It's really cool. So hopefully we'll see something with that. It reminds me, Bob Vu has something really similar that he's calling the Voodoo. And we've talked a little bit, and we think it's real super, very similar. So yeah, and in clowns, I might hit some visual clowns with it too. So
yeah,
that's something to look forward to.
The project with Bob, I think he just posted a picture today. Was it a black pastel pin Voodoo or? Yeah,
that's what it was. And well, I don't know if it was that or anything, but yeah, it was cool.
No, it was tight. I liked it. It looked busy. But I mean, you had anything else pop up during the years randomly that didn't belong there? You had the platinum, the other thing. Any other moments?
Dude, it's been so many years. I don't think so. I don't think I've hit anything. Never hit a random recessive, nothing like that. I've never hit. I think that's probably it.
Okay. Better than most, bud.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Puma Pieds, you were doing Puma Pieds ages ago, from what I can remember. I remember those early.
Okay, so I didn't hit Puma Pieds. I did Super Spark Pied, which it looks probably the same. But so I got Sparks way back, like when they were brand new. Pumas were just hit, so I got Sparks like that year. They were a lot of money at the time. So that year I brought it right to a Pied. The same year I got Hets. Within 2 years, like I know. This is a controversial topic, but within 2 years, that female had follicles, was ready to go, bred it to the het male. So spark het to spark het, and hit a female super spark like 8 years ago, super spark pie. It was awesome. Wow. Still have it.
Nice. Yeah.
So do you want to explain the spark? Maybe for people that don't understand it.
Spark? Okay. Well, I mean, everybody knows what yellow belly is, right?
Yeah,
pretty sure. Yellow belly is like the most common, most popular one. So it's on the same. What do we say? What do we call it now? The same allele. So if you breed a spark, kind of looks like a yellow belly, kind of looks like a fire. Doesn't really look like a yellow belly. It looks more like a fire dorsally. When you flip it over, it kind of looks like a yellow belly, but not really. You can tell them apart. When you breed like a Puma to something normal, like you can pretty much tell the sparks and yellow bellies. They look different. But the Puma's cool, man. When that came out, and I think they're still cool. They've kind of gone away because the freeways and highways have taken everything over. But when you breed a spark to a yellow belly, you get an allelic response like an ivory, but it's bright orange. Real small stripy dorsal pattern, but they do fade. I mean, the orange kind of goes away like the highways will. The highways fade a lot too. But man, like when the ones I've seen with like leopard or any of those genes, inchy, they're cool looking.
Yep. I think we just hatched out. It's either a hidden gene Woma or a hidden gene Woma spot nose Puma the other day. So I'm going to get Mike to take a couple of pictures this week. Pretty tight looking animal. And then my buddy Matt Knowles down in North Carolina, which I think you guys have met, or at least Chad has. He made a super inchy leopard Puma last year that I ended up getting from him, and it's fucking amazing. Yeah.
It's funny, like when you look at what these like leaders in the industry are doing with, I mean, spot nose and chocolate and stuff that mahogany and stuff that people didn't care about at all 2 years ago. They put it in a clown, they put it in something else, and you get a really cool response. The Puma's the same way, or Spark's the same way. All those genes, like you can keep bringing them back. Just because it's not the newest thing doesn't mean you can't like keep doing stuff with it and making cool stuff, make new stuff with it. When's the last time you seen a Puma on somebody's table? You don't see them.
My table last weekend.
Right. Besides yours.
Yeah. Well, and it's really funny, like you said, the evolution of ball pythons, because back in your day, getting your Super Emperor pin, it was all about stacking calico and super pastel
It
and
was
pink
all about
and
as many
spider.
genes as you could get into a snake.
Yeah,
Didn't
and then
know what
everything
it was.
else.
Yeah.
Mahogany, genes like that. It was meant to make a super form in the Suma, but nobody really did anything else with it.
Because like here's the thing: is pastel was like the gene, like Orange Dream is today. So if it didn't look good with pastel in it, people are like, whatever.
Yeah.
Pastel mahogany and pastel chocolate, those aren't, you know what I mean? They have their place, but they're not like right off the bat. They're not the most eye appealing, you know.
No. And you know, there was a long period of time too in ball python breeding. Like you said, you were just trying to make lessers so you could make super lessers.
Sure.
A lot of these mutations, if they didn't come with a super form, some of them fell to the wayside.
Yeah.
If the super form wasn't crazy, it fell to the wayside.
Right. Right.
Like I said, the evolution of ball pythons are crazy because every 5 or 6 years, I feel like there's a complete reset on what people want to do. You know, we've been, yeah. And right now, I mean, we're still hammering out clowns like motherfuckers.
Everybody is.
Everybody is. If you're not doing clowns, you shouldn't be a ball python breeder right now.
Right.
And
Right.
Don Patterson, I've said it to you too. Don Patterson says it best. There's the ball python market and there's the clown ball python market.
Yeah.
Clown
Yeah.
ball python market's doing its own thing right now.
Right.
But honestly, I mean, you know, you're always going on and tackling new projects. You got your puzzle last year. I know you're starting to work on heads for that. You're starting to build on your Desert Ghost stuff.
What's that? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Oh, I said you're building on your Desert Ghost stuff also.
Yeah. Yes. That's one of those genes that I'd seen real early on. And you know, I've never been a wealthy dude. So these $30,000-$40,000 snakes that pop up, I've never been able to jump on them. So, but that's one of those ones I was like, man, it's kind of subtle. And then the ghost name, like all the hypos then are still called ghosts. So the name was kind of odd. So it wasn't one of those genes. And I think everybody did the same thing. A lot of people slept on it. So, man, I've been like going by the Bell's table every Daytona and seeing these things. I'm like, oh my God, dude, they're so nice. And they weren't expensive anymore. So before I know Cabelka just produced a video that made everybody want to buy every one that's ever produced. So they're super hot right now. But last Daytona, I went and picked up I spent most of what I made at Daytona on Desert Ghost stuff, just because I wanted to ride that project. It was something I really liked. And now get on Morph Market, you can't find a female. Like people aren't selling them, or they're going. People already know they can sell them before they even get listed. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And the prices are just going up. Like they're worth 2 or 3 times more than what they were last year.
And when they first started out, you know, when I first heard about the Desert Ghost project, it was not terribly long after the Desert project, and everybody's like, "Oh, you can't get into the desert," you know, like
it was
so
the Yep.
Ghost, like Orange Ghost and stuff like that, and so you're like
hard pass.
Yeah. Like, it's just, you know, I think it confused a lot of people.
No, you know, and I've talked to, you know, Bob Boo had Desert Ghost pop up in his collection. He was calling them Phoenix for a little while. And now, you know, of course, everyone's just calling them DGs. Like, yeah, it's, you know, the name goes so far with the marketing of a project. And just like Ben said, Desert was a complete mess. Like you said, Ghost was already out there. Now we have a different Ghost, one of the cooler, more crisp patterns out there, and nobody wanted to fuck with it. And then on top of that, you know, the Bells are one of the most accomplished people in the industry when it comes to breeding.
Yeah,
but they don't have a Facebook page. They don't have a YouTube channel. They don't have an Instagram. You don't know what the fuck's ever going on.
They don't follow this stuff at all.
No, they're doing their own thing. They didn't want to market that project. It didn't really affect their business at the end of the day. It was something they just built on because it was there. So, but I mean, like we said, there's always a reset. And just like Desert Ghost females right now, 7 years ago, you went to Tinley on Friday, every single clown female in the building would be sold before the show would even open.
DG too, man.
Yeah. And this is like you said, the DG phase right now.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I talk it up all the time. I fucking love Puzzle. I think Puzzle's a strong pattern. Oh, I love it. And this year we saw more combos with it than ever before.
And none of them disappoint. Every one of them are a little bit better. And using genes that aren't really that appealing normally are making that just like a Mojave. The Mojave. Man, never would expect that.
No, Mojaves are sick. And they're extremely variable too. Like no two look the same for that, which I really dig.
I think with that project, and I've said it, you know, with Ryan and I in a couple of videos, I think that's like the next recessive that's really going to be coming along, like and building up is the puzzle and stuff. But for that project, like Ryan and I got offered like a great deal on a puzzle early in the game, and it just was so tied to the first real promoter of that project that I said we don't want to do it just because of that one person
thing. And that's where I was at too. It was kind of a weird, you know, when it came out. Yeah, I don't want to, you know, I'm not going to say any names or anything, but dude, like that made me not want it for a while. You know what I mean?
Negatively impacted it. It wasn't a selling point.
Yep. I mean, I know people that actually got out of the project because of that.
I think everybody could look at it at the time and say it was awesome, but nobody really wanted to dive in for that reason, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't touch it. And again, it kind of fell to the wayside. We only saw a couple combos early on. There was no stacking or building on it from there. I mean, really, for the first 6 to 7 years that they were around, I feel like all we saw was a pastel, super pastel, and a bumblebee.
And bumblebees, dude. It was like a bumblebee stuff. And that was already at the time where spiders were kind of like, people were already kind of like stepping away from them, you know. Yeah, man. And I think there was maybe a lesser later on. It was cool, but it wasn't until like last year, maybe 2 years that I've seen stuff from it that was like a really cool.
Last 2 years were incredible. You know, we were lucky enough. Ben made spot nose hets years ago, and we were lucky enough to hit spot nose and pastel spot nose puzzles, which I really loved. Like you said, the Mojave and Pastavis came out. I think Sean did those first. And then after that, even this past year, we saw a lot more leopard in them. I saw a leopard puzzle last year I didn't love. Now this year, every leopard puzzle I loved.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. And Inchy. I thought Inchy was made a long time ago, but I guess it wasn't. I thought it was made and not good, so it didn't get released. I'm not sure, but I saw the ones in Daytona. I can't remember the dude's name. I'm sorry. I should know the dude's name, but he produced the leopards and hypos. And I thought he made Inchy too. They were super cool.
Yeah, and he made the spot nose leopard version, like you said. He made a leopard hypo version. I don't know if he had an Inchy with him though. William with Royal Canadian made the pastel Inchy leopard this past year, and it was pretty stunning.
Yeah. Nice. And you did the bamboozle, right?
So William Philippek produced the bamboozles first. We made a bamboozle spot nose 2 years ago and sold it. Nice. It was a female. I got to get an updated picture of that, but really stunning animal. We made a lot of really good hets for that project this year. Started mixing into other recessives. I've put in a lot of effort into puzzle stuff. We're constantly hatching out new hets. It's going to be a couple of years before we're really mixing them together, but I've got a lot of faith in puzzle. I think it's a very unique project, and I'm sure when they're more readily available, you're going to see a lot more people in them. But right now, you know, we're still in the clown phase of ball pythons. We're not in the puzzle phase yet.
They're pricey. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of new people aren't going to be throwing money at it. It's still high, especially the really new combos. They're either not selling them or they're just expensive.
Yeah. So when does the clown bubble bust? Because seriously, this looks like a huge bubble. You look at the amount of clowns available for sale on Morph Market. Yeah. It's like a ridiculous amount.
Right.
So my opinion, the only reason it hasn't bust yet, because we keep on seeing nice combos. The day that the combos all start looking the same, it'll bust. But for the time being, if we're going to keep on doing something new and original every year, I think it's going to keep going for a bit longer.
I think when you have people like just people like Justin that are just finding these, dude, just something as simple as special. You know, that gene has been, you know, underwhelming other than the supers for a while now. And the crystals are cool, but put a special in the clown, and now, you know, and red stripe was pretty underwhelming for a while. That wasn't anything cool. And if you keep taking these little genes that, you know, most people don't even care about anymore and put them in a clown, it does something really cool. Until that stops, I think it's going to keep getting better.
Does it just continue on when you go to a double recessive clown? Like, is it the train keep going?
Desert Ghost, man. Desert Ghost and clown right now. You keep building on that, and that, dude, there's a handful of those that have other genes in them, but there's not much. So you ride that train as long. I mean, it's gonna last.
No.
So what I hear you saying is that we should talk Dave out of all of his puzzle stuff, is what you're saying.
Well, no, he's telling you to start buying better clowns. No,
I mean, if you can do what you're doing with puzzle, with what everybody's done with clown, I mean, doesn't that make sense? I think that's what a good handful of people are trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just made a bunch of combos with Blackhead that are Het Puzzle today. I'm pretty excited about getting them in the mix in a few years. Like I said, I made red stripe, leopard, pastel combo hets this year for puzzle. Mm-hmm. Again, there's really no gene I'm not going to put it on. We got to go into some mahogany stuff right now.
That's what I was been thinking about. Those
dark. I got a lesser mahogany set to the side for it, and I think one other mahogany just for fun. Nice. And then even the puzzle females we have this year, we're looking at putting Desert Ghost stuff in it because Osby's been making those absolutely beautiful Desert Ghost Orange Stream puzzle stuff.
Yeah.
And back to what Ryan said too about the bubble, we all know this industry plays by no set of rules. Even though there's a supply and demand aspect of it, nothing ever happens the way you think it would happen.
It's the Bitcoin of reptiles.
This is the Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin at, by the way?
I don't know. It's probably still around 10 grand.
Is it? Okay.
For one Bitcoin.
Well, there's not many Bitcoins around. Ryan, how many Bitcoins?
It's up to 13,000.
Wow. Nice. Okay.
We invested.
I don't understand it. Yeah.
No, you don't need to make believe to me.
It is. Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast. We can't keep talking about Bitcoin.
Well, that's the last hour. We'll do Bitcoin the last hour.
Especially if we're drinking. We can't talk cryptocurrency and drinking. Things will just get crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I'd rather talk about the election coming up.
Oh, we'll get into that at the end too, man.
That's less charged the conversation than Bitcoin. All right.
This is intense, man. Ryan's back on. We're going back to politics. Shit, I'm into this. But
taking stuff up.
So honestly, and again, Chad, with your collection, I feel like you had big breaks when you produced your platinums.
Yep.
I still think you had a really big break, even though it was short-lived with your shrapnel project, which I still believe you're going to get back to it. And if not, I'm going to do it for you.
Buddy, I am. I mean, I've held back a lot of shrapnel animals. I do have a lot of adult females shrapnels still. I just haven't, I've just been waiting for the right thing. I don't know if you've seen them, but the shrapnel freeways that I hit last year, that to me, that says everything. Those looked, I don't know. I don't know if Ben and Ryan have seen them, but I'll have to put them up. I produced a pair of them and I kept them back, so I'll have to post it.
Do you hear that clicking sound? The clicking sound in the background? I think that's Ben looking up your freeway.
It's okay.
Yeah, he's on it.
I'll have to do some updated pictures of them. They're amazing. Like if you take I'm sure you've seen the leopard freeways. It's as exaggerated as that, but it's like melted all the way down. It's still really, really dark. I would never expect that to happen. So I'm gonna keep riding that. I kept both of them. The male should be breeding here soon. So and I have a shrapnel yellow belly combo female. So we'll see what happens with it.
Okay. And again, man, when it comes to Chad Halker, the sugar, you've been knocking out sugar stuff for years.
Yeah, I just like them a lot, man. There's still sugar combos or calico, whatever, that are coming out today, and I'm like, they're insane. They're so pretty. They're not super expensive anymore, but they sell for really good, decent money. They sell as soon as they get 2 sheds in and they really look nice. Every time I bring them to shows, man, I can't keep them around.
Yeah. Well,
and again, the same thing with the campfire stuff. Something as simple as calico, when you hit that right combo, it just unlocks it. It makes everybody want it again. Everybody's going to chase that.
Yeah. Very, very true. We just made yellow belly, orange stream calico het clowns, and they were oranger than the best campfires made here.
Right.
And none of the genes in it outside of calico or even in the campfire.
Wow.
Ben, show the picture.
Oh, did you get it? Oh, yeah.
There it is.
That's nice.
So again,
that is nice.
A granite gene doing that to something like that, never would have thought that'd be the case.
Right.
So you got any shrapnel for sale? What's going on?
I will.
Chad,
I don't have any babies. Like I
better.
have a couple breeder males that are like ready to start turning on, and I have probably 10 females that they're in the right genes now. I don't have like pin and everything and lesser and everything. I wanted to get a lot of that out of it.
So,
Yeah.
Chad, tell Ryan that you remember talking to me about shrapnel like 2 years ago at I think it was a Tinley. And you're like,
Probably.
man, you should probably get into this. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. And Ryan's like, I don't know, man. We're trying to go with it. And I'm like, all right, well, you know. And so
This guy is so full of crap.
do you remember that, Chad?
It's real hard because, man, like there's a lot of granite genes out there. I mean, I was walking around, went to Arlington, and you know, there's the Grim, the Jedi. I mean, I can name 10 of them probably that are granite type genes. But this, I mean, they're not all the same. You know, this one isn't just a darker granity animal. It like in certain combos, it brightens and blushes too. It's weird what it does. It's not like it does this one thing. It's like it adds different directions to it.
I'd really like to put it in with the voodoo stuff. We have a voodoo male we got from Bob, and I'd love to see what happens when those two go together.
All the stuff that the combos he's made so far look like everything that I've made with the shrapnel gene. I mean, he's hit some different combos, but like the lesser stuff, like he has it in butter or lesser and pastel, like those look identical.
We have some that you're saying like that kind of showed up in your collection, and it takes a while to get through. We were working, and this might be a question for you, you know, because of the sugar stuff, but we have a calico. It was a pastel calico. It was our original calico line, I guess, that we got from Dan Wolf back in the day.
Yeah.
And fourth generation from that, we have these pair of females that are, we thought, now we're like a little sketchy on it, but super pastel, calico, Inji Moma, and then there's the, you know, fader and gravel and all that.
Granite
and all that. All right. So as the two females got bigger and older, they don't look calico anymore. It's like really, it's a strange looking thing. And then we produced a clutch this year to a fire spot nose triple het.
Yeah.
So each of these females, and both of them threw 3 snakes, you know, total between the two clutches that are like, you know, like there's things that are coming out that we're just
going like patternless.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
The Hyperion female it's a super pastel fire calico female we produced that came out almost completely leucistic, and every shed it just started developing blotches of color on it, and now it's like
they just had a blotch with like 8 genes that did the same thing.
It just has this yellow blotching, and it then has some what looks like paradoxing bleeding through, but like it's not explainable.
So I mean, I got my first. It's like I have a VPI line. I got in 08. So I started hatching sugar stuff, and I liked it a lot when it first came out. So I bred it to everything that I had at the time, and by 2010 I was hitting some, you know, 2 and 3 gene combos with it. But it wasn't until I hit the first super pastel, like that snake was like patternless cream color with a little bit of, you know what I mean? Like people see them now, they have almost a normal head, but their whole body's like washed out. And every shed, like you start stacking genes into that, every shed will like, you'll get a little more yellow here, a little more orange there, and it does paradox color, like, and you get black spots bleed through. So a lot of people, what's that gene that adds black smudges into the? Not that.
Oh, you're talking about shatter.
Shatter. So it almost acts like that because I posted a sugar combo that came out kind of like white, and Dave had it for a while. He gave it back to me in Nashville, and I just posted a picture of it a couple days ago. It looks like a Cal retic. That didn't look like that when it was hatchling. All that black and all that speckling and all that stuff came out through sheds through the years. So I don't know what it is that makes it do that, but it's not uncommon. You can get like orange smudges, yellow smudges, black smudges, and just random areas all over it, and they don't hatch like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the calico is so variable between your low expression and high expression. Yeah. And again, no two animals ever look the same on a calico combo typically between pattern changes and everything. So
it's hard to see what it is when you put in 5 and 6 genes in them. It's real hard to tell what's going on.
Yep. I just assume it's everything at that point. Yeah, once it goes white, it's everything.
Those white ones, yeah.
Yeah. But funny too, kind of just talking ball python mutations, back to recessives, the paint project. That's something that's been around for a very long time. Limey, Mary, Grant, all down in North Carolina have done amazing things. They're starting to turn people's heads.
They went hard with it.
Yeah, they were smart. It had a ton of potential. It was a recessive granite gene, and it always looked good, but it's been around since 2005, let's say.
Probably.
And it's now just going mainstream. Literally now just going mainstream.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been there. I mean, they went hard with it, but there's still so much that hasn't been done. Like so much. Yeah. Like they've got like what, yellow belly and calico in it now. I don't know what else they put in there.
Yellow belly, calico, pastel, and the Sentinel project and Paint project are the same thing.
The same thing, right?
So there's some inchy Sentinels out there that look really good. Like I said, I think a lot of people put it to the wayside. It wasn't marketed properly, and it just took a minute to take off.
Well, people want it, and I'm guilty of it too. People want that wow factor when they buy into a project. And when you start buying stuff that's like, I can kind of see it, but I don't, you know what I mean? Especially like, I guess, are they called het paints now and het sentinels because they're so subtle?
Well, in the beginning, there were little markers.
Tough to buy into it and work that project for so long to where you start to see cool stuff. People want it instantly.
Yeah. No, I agree. People need a wow factor, especially when you have 250 options out there. If you're going to go with a base gene like special that looks like fucking nothing, and we're not chasing leucistics or bell complex stuff anymore, it falls to the wayside.
Exactly.
I mean, and again, like even talking about like the mindset of ball pythons right now and how everything's changed, even if you go back to, that's the one that Brittany just picked up from Lyman.
Yeah. So what is that? Is that got yellow belly, calico, and what else? Orange dream, maybe?
I think that might be just yellow belly sentinel. Did she make paint? Did she say what it was or no?
She did. Hang on. I have to find it. Dang it. I did. So I just saw it today. That's why I was like, it's just ridiculous.
I've been trying to get us to buy into that project forever.
Yeah. I just bought a breeder male, and I'm running it through a bunch of stuff this year.
The problem was that everybody was trying to say it was a codom to begin with, and nobody was buying it. And he did a really concerted effort campaign over the last several years to turn it in. It's a recessive. These are hets. Understand the project. And now people are starting to see the potential.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like people talk about
I don't see what
it's at least yellow belly. We'll get back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is like, I'm guilty of it too. I'm a reptile guy. I'm not like a scientist or anybody like that knows genetics really well or a geneticist. So we like butcher our vocabulary with genetics big time. So calling like something like that looks like a total normal, a codom or an incomplete dominant or whatever, like that's like if you take a het paint or what they used to call it, paint and super paint. You take a het paint and breed it into some combos, you can't see it at all. Or if you breed it to a normal, how could you? I think it was so subtle that people couldn't even pick them out, and people were getting ripped off because they bought what they thought were paints and they were normals, so that's a recessive. Yeah, you need to have a visual to breed to know you have a definite het.
Yep. So the thing is, and early on, like one of the markers for the heads was alien heads, just a series of alien heads down the side. And I don't remember the original breeder. My buddy Ted Williams was helping him out early on in the project. I think, God, man, I was at Ted's house back, I think in 2007, and he had 10 super paints in a rack, all like 600 grams that he was selling for this guy. Like, they had animals back then.
Yeah.
But, just like with your het pies, there's subtleties, there's markers, there's things you can see, but just because you have the tracks, it doesn't mean it's 100% when you're not breeding a visual to a whatever. So I think the same thing with the paint project. Like you said, it's such a subtle codom, which it's not, it's a recessive. You can't pick it out of anything. And it's going to change them ever so slightly, like a het pied would, but not enough for you to actually market it or guarantee the GWS.
Sure.
But paint, I like paint. I'm honestly, it doesn't matter because not many people can do it. You've seen our Hydra project here that Ben had. He used to call it the Rennick, now it's the Hydra, and it pushes the pattern really high up the side of the animal. It's on some where you barely have a dorsal left.
Right.
The fact that the paint project is all side panel, I'm breeding it through a bunch of Hydra project animals this year because I'm thinking we're going to push that pattern up even further and get maybe more of an extreme granite on the side if we're lucky. We'll see. I just started doing the pairings. I'm years from actually producing a visual, but again, I think it's a great project. Grant and Mary brought out that calico yellow belly to the Charlotte show right out of the incubator.
Yeah.
That thing was unbelievable. When I saw that on their table, everything changed in that project in that moment. Everyone started talking about it. Limey had them on their table. They were sold out immediately at the show.
Yeah.
It takes that one wow factor, like you said, special.
22, like genes, like, I mean, obviously yellow belly makes everything better, but it's such a simple thing to make it so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like that's, I mean, if that's what yellow belly and calico does to that, imagine like what could be done.
No, you're right. I do think there might be some combos that we do that might get away from it, but I think most of them are going to get us to a better place. Is that what you guys made, or what's this?
Yeah,
that's the one we were talking about earlier that we couldn't explain, that came out white and then slowly started doing that.
Yeah, man, it's weird. Like you'll get white. It is weird. I've made stuff that has like bleached out spots that don't make sense. It doesn't follow along with a typical calico pattern, where like it just, see how it has like just dorsally just goes all the way up the back and all the way around, like ringers all over the snake. It's crazy.
Yeah. And now that is the grandmother really of the clutches we produced this year that we're like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you look at genes, like, and a lot of people would laugh and say it wasn't a thing, but the fader gene, I think it is, and it is something.
So,
you know, it might be subtle, but you know, just when you have a combo like that and something unexplainable, it could be that.
So Ryan and I we're talking about the two females that that we bred to, you know, that we're making this. We're like, oh, and we always laugh about fader because we haven't seen a super fader, you know. You haven't seen a fader by itself.
A single gene fader has never been
right. So, but now these females, their dorsal has disappeared over time. Like they were pretty light, but they've completely disappeared now.
Like I'm definitely no expert on it, but I have seen faders stripped down somewhat. I don't know if it's single gene, but like inchy or something simple. It really just reduced it and cleaned it. It was something, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? I don't know what a normal fader would look like, but I would just assume it's like a reducing, cleaning type gene, you know?
Yeah. You know, we all just kind of like with you.
This one, Ben, that's the one where the dorsal completely wiped out over time. And that's from fader stock. I don't know if that is.
So this is the kind of stuff.
I don't know by any means, but it definitely it's something there. But it might be very subtle, but I think it's definitely a gene. But you know, a lot of people laugh about it because, like, you know, the nerd stuff, like everything had fader in it, and you couldn't tell. Like it was all complex stuff that you wouldn't be able to see it. So a lot of people just laughed it off. But
and that's
maybe
like,
you guys could ride the fader line a little harder and see what we can make with it.
Do you guys do people come to you and like, hey, you know, ask you questions about shrapnel stuff, or ask you questions about like, what are the, you know, a couple of the things that you really do well? Because we're in that boat kind of where we're like, I don't want to call Kevin, but we probably should, to ask him a couple of these questions that we're like, I don't know where this is coming from, you know? Like, is this what people do with you with the shrapnel? And
yeah, and you know what I mean? Like it's fine. Like I don't mind talking to people about stuff, but it is always funny to me. And like they'll be like, well, I bought it from this guy. And I bought it from, I'm like, well, where'd you get it from? Like I don't remember selling you a shrapnel. And they'll be like, oh, I got it from this. I'm like, what? Why don't you ask them? You know what I mean? Kevin might be the same way. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe he'd be happy to talk about it, but it is funny. Like, well, you know, you may be the guy that knows where it came from, or may be able to idea a little bit better, but they'll go buy it from everybody else but you.
Mm-hmm. No, and you know, it's really funny too, like, you know, as we're talking about this, like I think of all these like highlight animals over the year. You know, Nerd had that stretch for about 2 years there where he was doing the videos with Raffi, and
It was awesome.
unbelievable stuff. Like, holy fucking, he had that one that looked like a magpie blood python. I think he called it the magpie, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, Raffi bought it and named
I
it.
still don't know what it was.
Nobody knows. Still to this day. Like, nobody knows. I've never seen another one. I don't know how he got there. We could guess, but no idea. And then he had,
No clue.
what was it? Did he call it the, fuck, man, angel dust or something? That one that, like, the whole sides are, like, faded out white. Like, bleached out, made no sense
That might
whatsoever.
have been a super fader.
Could have been a super fader. And even, like, man, like, you talk about clown. Like, we saw pastels for years. We really saw nothing. And then you had Ralph Davis do the fine line, I think he was calling it. We don't even know what the fuck that is to this day.
The flat line.
Flat
line.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still remember that video he did. That was an awesome video he did for that.
That broke the internet.
Just slow panning through his facility with nothing really going on, and then a bloop. You're like, what the F was that?
No, that was sick. You know, Ralph was a great marketer back then.
Speculated on what that was forever. For 2 or 3 years, people would just chatter about what that actually was.
So, Chad, what do you think it was?
I have no idea, man. Probably Super Blade, Bumblebee, Inchy. I don't know, but it was a long time ago, so it couldn't have been. But it couldn't have been. But so many genes.
I mean, you know, he was the king for stacking. He made the first Dreamsicles, the first lavender genetic stripes. He had the tangerine gene in his collection at that time, which could have enhanced that color. There's no saying how we got there.
And you remember his birthing records page? Like, I used to look at it all the time. But he'd have like one that was like caution, like, you know, it's a secret project. You'd have 2 or 3 of those every year. You know what I mean? That was like, I always wanted to know what that was.
Yeah, everybody did. Everybody wanted to know what that was. Yeah, I had my 3 routines when I first got in the hobby. I would check Pete Hall's birthing records because he used to keep up on that, especially with his boas. You had Ralph Davis with his, and then Tracy, you go to BPI.com and they'd have the bragging post, which you go and check it out. And then you jump on King Snake and click on ball pythons and see who's making posts on this and see pictures.
Yeah. The King Snake forum was like pre-Facebook, and that's where everybody like went in and just, dude, it was like a wrestling match.
Yep.
It was awesome.
I remember those days.
Yeah, now it's too easy with Facebook, man. It's great. I mean, it completely changed the hobby, and you know, it's really fun too. Like, again, talking about how like ever changing it is, especially in the ball python community. Everyone said that Facebook ruined ball pythons at one point. It crashed the market. All the auctions
made the market way bigger.
Yeah, it did. It made it way bigger, but there was a stretch where everyone bitched about it, and then Facebook's like, you can't sell reptiles in here anymore. And they're like, we're all going to go out of business. What are we going to do?
The morph market came around.
It's true.
Let's all sign up for ewwey.
Yeah.
ewwey.
I think people's complaint with Facebook for a long time, I don't know if it was the auctions that started just going out of control, or if it was just that every person that bred their first pair of snakes had a voice and could post sales ads, and I don't know what it was, but I think the people that were established and selling and, you know, making a living off of it probably were irked that just every new person now could sell their animals. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. The only thing that I really miss, though, is because of Facebook, we got away from websites. And I know you have one or had one, but you don't maintain it at all.
I hated it. Man, I'm not a computer dude. So I had 2 different websites built. 2, and they're probably still out there in the interwebs. But, man, I would get on, and like this was back when I would like had a separate camera, not just my camera phone. Like, I've got a nice camera, and I would take nice pictures. And then trying to load them shits onto the website and actually keep it updated, dude, I didn't have it in me. I'm like, no way. And I just use my camera for my pictures. So they're not great. It's not the best, man, but I just don't have the patience for taking. And back then, like I would have to like get to my laptop, go load it on Photo Bucket, get the link, and then post onto to make ads that way. It was so time consuming.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like running a business.
Hey, maybe I wouldn't have to hire somebody to do that then.
We had our website.
I could have done. That was my least favorite part of the business.
Yeah, we had our website, and I mean, we were like, wow, this is cool, and we had it for a few years, and then we're like, we look at the traffic that we were getting there compared to what we were getting on, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and all that, and we're just like, it's not even like nobody goes to our website, so we just stopped for the price we were paying, and now we're like, we should probably have something, but it's
I don't know that it's like, I don't know that we're to the point where websites are obsolete, because I think a lot of people sell the majority of their stuff on their websites. I'm just not in the habit. Like, I'm a social media guy at this point. Like, and a lot of those websites were, you know what I mean? Like, just say King Snake, for instance, and Fauna, those were like the premium sites that everybody sold their stuff on. It to this point, if I can't, like, I'm so busy, if I can't take a picture with my phone and load it into the site and sell it that way, like, I don't really want to do it. That's probably not a great thing, but that's just the reality. I'm super busy.
Well, as long as you're selling out, it's not really an issue, right?
Yeah, it works fine.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Don't change your business plan if your business is successful. Why fuck around with it?
Yeah.
Just don't make any more than 45 clutches a year, otherwise you might be fucked.
Good plan.
Yeah. But too, like I like reminiscing, and I know you remember a lot of things, and this is another web-based conversation. Do you remember, like, 10, 15 years ago, there was a guy that popped up in Michigan, and he had this immaculate collection. Nobody knew who he was. He kept everything on that, like, white snow recycled paper, and everything was like these 5-6 gene animals that no one even really ever saw. His website was crisp. He had like multi-gene clowns at that point. Came out of nowhere. Do you remember this guy? I bring him up to Michigan.
Michigan. No, I can't. I mean, I can't think of it.
Fuck. There was a guy, and again, this is back when like no one had anything, and this guy shows up. He had this great web page. It looked good. The colors all looked nice. Had a great flow to it. Mm-hmm. He had, again, adult female clown super pastel such and suches in his collection. And again, they didn't exist back then, but he had everything.
I can't think of that. Maybe I just never saw the site.
Fuck it. Conversation's mute. Move the fuck on. We're done.
Next subject. Sorry, I messed that up for you.
There's actually been quite a few of these phantom people that show up, like, out of nowhere. They'll be like, all of a sudden, like, we never heard your name before, never just appeared overnight with like $1 million collection. And you're like, what the hell? And then people go on about it for a couple months and they disappear. I don't know what happens, but
it happens.
There was a guy in our town where Ryan and I live, like near us, and I ran into him at a flea market, and I just happened to be, I don't even know how we talked. We like, I was like, oh, he goes, yeah, I'm breeding ball pythons. I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, my dad and I, we just dumped like $500,000 or $600,000 this year into ball pythons. And I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Like, who are you? Like, what we need to, so I messaged him a couple times throughout the next few months, and 5 months later, he said, oh, I sold out. I'm done. We're out of it. They were in it for like 8 months, and they dumped in $500,000, something like that. They weren't in it for a year. What do you think he sold it for? I don't know. I have no idea. But there's stuff like that. I think that some people watch videos, like they watch stuff on YouTube or see stuff on Instagram, and they're like, yeah, this is going to be a fast and easy business. And then you buy like a ton of babies, and you realize, I got to wait 2 or 3 years before I can breed these things. Like,
and feed them. I mean, rats aren't any cheaper, man. Rats and mice, oh my God.
No, it is a revolving door of new money, I guess you could say, in this industry. But I'm pretty sure it's probably the same in most industries. But you're right, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, Chad's been at this for 55 years, and he's making 40 clutches a year. This is This is, you gotta build on it. You gotta take your time.
Chad, you are very experienced. I didn't think about how experienced you are. 55 years is
55 years. I'm not even 55 years old. But the thing is, time doesn't mean that I would know more than you would know. You know what I mean? Because the husbandry and the way things worked for the first 10 years I've been into this aren't the same as what people are doing now. It's just, you know what I mean? And so I'm relearning stuff that people 3 years in the business are doing and succeeding. And I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. So there's no end to, you're not going to freaking learn everything. Nobody's going to know everything.
Yep.
No. And, I think the biggest problem with new money that comes in, and, I mean this in the best way possible. And if you're new money thinking about it, I hope you take something out of this. Everybody just looks at the flashy animals. They don't look at, like you said, the fine print, your cost of rodents. Most of those people don't even know what a mite is. They don't know what to do when they get a mite. They don't know what to do when they get a million mites. They don't know when the first animal in their collection turns up sick. They don't even know it's sick in the first place. There are
none of them quarantined.
No. There's so many variables or so many things. If you want to be a reptile breeder, you should do some research on farming and then decide to be a reptile breeder, because this is just farming but different animals.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So, Chad, what's your favorite ball python morph of all time?
That is a really hard question. The favorite morph, just base, the base right now?
I want to hear the base
combo?
Yeah, we can talk about combos afterwards, but let's just say this. If you were going to start your collection over at any given point of this whole thing, and you could only start out with one base gene and build everything around that, what would that one base gene be?
Dude, I'd have to go Desert Ghost right now. That's where my head is right now. I mean, my head was there before it kind of exploded, but dude, every combo that I've seen from it is awesome.
I love
Clown's another one. Clown's the Clown's been done so long. I love it. I love what it does. But dude, everything with Desert Ghost right now, the pieds, the Clowns, the puzzles, the tri-stripe, every codom that I've seen in it, it's all good. So I mean, you could have nothing but that and do well.
Yep, I agree. One thing I do like is, we go through these phases of ball pythons, and over the last few years, it's been pastel's bullshit, pastel ruins things. But when it comes to the Desert Ghost project, it makes it 1,000 times better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and pastel puzzles are awesome.
Mm-hmm. Pastel Desert Ghost Clown was amazing. It was Pastel Desert Ghost Pied was amazing. Pastel Desert Ghost Tri-Stripe was fucking sick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's a puzzle.
Yeah, I do know the puzzle, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I said, I like the Desert Ghost route. And, me being, I am a ball python guy, but I am not a ball python guy.
Yes.
I really love the speed. I love the colors. I love everything about it. If there was a million colors in boas, I'd have a big boa collection, but we're limited there. But, the Desert Ghost.
Ball pythons are easy to like because they're not difficult. They're not difficult. The husbandry is not difficult. They breed pretty easy, but boas will break your freaking heart, man.
They will. They do.
I've done it. I had a spell where I did boas back in the day, and I did them like everybody else did them at the time, and probably overfeeding them, knowing what I know now back then. But dude, every time I would get a female up to size, it's probably happened a few times. I'd breed her. I'd see all the signs. She'd go through the motions and then just die. What?
Jesus.
This animal's not thick. This animal's perfectly healthy, old enough, and they just die. So I don't know what the hell I was doing wrong, but I have not been wanting to have boas since. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I'm not good at it.
Yeah. It's
same thing happened to us 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
I think there's a lot of species that come with heartache. I do think that you are right. Boas are one of them. The underlying reasons or why they're so difficult or why they roll the way they do, the community is not big enough and the discussions aren't being had.
Maybe there's just not a lot of people coming forward with good information, withholding information possibly.
No, the the big guys in boas are not big social media guys.
Yeah.
The biggest boa breeders are not social media guys, and they never have been.
I also think that people getting into them. I was just talking to a guy today on Facebook. He said, "Hey, does anybody have any good tips? I want to get into breeding something." So I messaged him. I said, "Yeah, man. I'm trying to be helpful to people." Blah, blah, blah. And he said, "I want to get into boas," and I was like, "Well, my suggestion is to read Ben Russo's book and do a lot of research, and don't try to feed them like everybody says you should." And he goes, "Yeah, okay, well, I just want to breed boas." So, and I'm like, they don't want to know. Like I think people just don't get it maybe.
They want zero effort.
Yeah.
Is what they want. Read a book? What am I doing reading a book? Like,
there's been anywhere from 3 to maybe 6 boa mutations over the years that could have been the next best thing that never even made it to breeding size. Like, we've had new stuff come in over the last 20, 25 years, and we never even got to breed them once. Like,
you think that's because there's something wrong with them, or you think like the husbandry killed them?
You know what? It's really hard to say. I know right now a hot topic coming up in boas is going to be the arena virus. We all remember the IBD days.
Yeah.
More research needs to be done. There could be an underlying disease that these guys can lay dormant in with, be perfectly all right, and then one day it comes out and it kills them.
Yeah.
I think obesity is a big issue.
I think
the rule of thumb back in the day was 2.5 years old, 10 to 12 pounds, you could breed your females.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, a lot of breeders are waiting until 4 to 5 years, and they're breeding them at 5 to 6 pounds. Very different game now. It's a smaller litter, which is, it is what it is, but they bounce back. One of my boas just had 6 babies. She's 5 years old. She's 5 years old and probably 6 pounds. She made very small litter. She didn't even look like she had a litter. She lost virtually no weight.
But she's not going to roll on you.
What was that?
So she's not going to roll on you that way, though. That's good.
No, you get more longevity, in my opinion, that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel the same way now. But we've had our scares with like green tree pythons. Those fuckers roll for some people. Other people are successful.
That's another thing I've dabbled in. I mean, I do own a chondro. I'm not breeding it. I have it out on breeder lawn, but I mean, I've raised that thing, and like I got and did my research, and it's a really nice designer animal, so I wanted to do it right. The feeding schedule with those, and we did it in the 90s when those things were being imported. We did it wrong, like big time. They're another one of those animals that like you don't want to feed much. They literally lay on a branch and don't move at all. They do not need to be fed like everybody feeds them, and they don't want to be hot. Like they don't want to light on them. They don't want hot, dry air. They want 82 degrees, just nice and chill. They, in an area where it's not going to be, like people walking by all the time. Like if they can just chill in an area that's 82 to 84 degrees, they're comfy. They'll eat every time for you. They don't get fat. And dude, adults are being fed like every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
No,
I mean, we have a couple here. We're at ambient. They're in a chill area. We're not over misty. We're not this. We're not that. There's not a hot. I mean, not that we're doing it wrong. There's no hot spot. We're ambient, 82 to 84, and they are healthy and happy.
Once you figure their husbandry out, they're very easy. Now I've never bred them, but people right now, like the people that I'm following, I watch the chondro stuff. Like they're very successful now. They're not overthinking it.
So you got their attention earlier. Old world rat snakes.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Which ones were you working with back then?
So what did I have? I kind of did a pair of everything. Like I didn't I always had like one snake room. So I had like Taiwan beauties. That was like my first. I loved those because they were so freaking big. It was like an 8-foot colubrid. They could eat medium rats. It was awesome. I had blue beauties. I had Chinese beauties. I'm not going to do Latin names because I don't even know the ones. They've changed since then. So I had Ridley Eye. I did the Stinking Goddess Carnata. I had those. Man, I know I had a whole bunch more than that. You're on a blank, man.
Back then, you had to have porphyraceous, right?
I didn't have porphyraceous. They're like a cooler climate. My buddies had them, and like the mandarins and like Christina and all those. I didn't have those because my room was pretty warm, and you need those at like 75.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do like the European rat snakes and stuff, like you need to have them in a different setup for them.
Yeah.
So I didn't do all those, and I did a lot of just North American stuff and a lot of kings and corns and stuff like that too.
Okay. Not to interrupt the conversation. So, Chad, at the rate you're going, by the end of this podcast, we're not going to see your head. We're just going to see your pecs. I know what you're doing, bud. You're just gravitating the camera
I'm looking
down
at you guys. I'm not looking at my own box.
Okay.
There we go.
I mean, that's just as good as the bottom, man. I'm not complaining either way.
There, I can see myself now. I'm not even looking at me. I'm looking at you guys.
No, that's straight. I just look at me the whole time, and then I look at you a little bit. Okay, back to old world rat snakes. Ryan, you got something to tip your tongue. Jump in, bud. Wait, were you just leaning in to look at Chad?
Oh, we're getting close, so I'm just trying to.
He's in.
Trying to get in.
Well, the thing is, the funny thing is with this industry, like you said, there's constantly a reset. You were working with those in the 90s. And then they kind of got quiet. And then Chad Brown with Pro Exotic started buying them again.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the moment of them blowing up.
Yeah.
And then he lost their collection. And then they went stagnant again for a little while. And now they seem to be kind of slowly coming in. I mean, it's still a very niche community. Yeah. But you're seeing more of them randomly popping up at the shows. Like, they're becoming more common.
It's cool. Rob and Amy Zirkle, I'll drop their name because they're still around.
Oh, my God. I love their stuff.
I bought from them back then. They were I would say it was probably late 90s, 98, 99 or so. But dude, when I first started going to Tinley, and I didn't hear anything from them, they kind of I don't know if they dropped off or what, but went to my first couple Tinleys, and they're there, and they still have everything. They have all those old rat snakes still, and they're still around. So, Prairie Land Herp, Larry, I can't remember his last name. He also had everything back in the day.
Larry Keller?
Larry Keller, that's his name.
Yep.
He was it was them two. They're the ones that had everything you'd want to buy. They had it all. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Larry's still around or not, but I know the Zirkles still are.
He is, yeah. There's another huge influx coming in right now. So what I see with that section of the hobby is a lot of people are coming in on the ball python wave. Hey, this guy. And those two sort of bubbles don't really intersect. Like they have their own little Facebook groups that they talk in, but they don't come outside of that, right? So we kind of got on board with that because we were working with Matt Most from Sarpamitra. He's got an awesome collection. We picked up like a pair of everything that he has, and we started showing it off on our primarily ball python channel. And all these people started asking questions because a lot of these people have only come in. They're in for 2, 3, 4 years. Like they're new into the hobby. They don't know anything outside of ball pythons. And they see this really brightly colored, awesome looking snake. And they're like, what is that? Red. It's red with black racing stripes and looks amazing. Yeah. What is that? And it's like $300-400. Like how can I get that? Nobody's really marketing. Nobody's like spreading the word of that. So like I see a huge influx of people being interested in it once you get it outside of its little bubble that it's in. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing. Like I'm probably, close to 5,000 friends on Facebook or so. My Instagram's not that strong, but I scroll and I don't see this stuff. Very rarely do I see any of those animals posted. And I'm friends with all snake people, I know they're out there, but they're so nichey. I think they're just staying in their little groups and not really making it public,
And the social media algorithms work against you because they'll intentionally like segregate that stuff out, so you'd never see it unless you go look for it on purpose. And not many people are checking the groups; they're just looking at their feed.
Yeah, and I have a lot of local herper friends that are just colubrid guys, and they, like I'll go there see their collection. They have like so much cool stuff, and they're not big social media people, so they're not posting it either. I just don't think these people just are really into social media and really into sharing it that much, But yeah, dude, like the stuff is still out there. Like all the all the cool bull snakes and all the Pituophis stuff are out there. Like there's new stuff coming out. Like I love it. I can't even keep up with corn snakes anymore. I don't even know what's what anymore. There's so many genes from when I was doing it. Like it's hard for me to follow it anymore. I feel like a noob.
Yeah. No, I mean, this hobby, ball pythons are the gateway drug. You start doing some ball pythons, and then you need something a little better. Something that, you know, makes you feel a little better about yourself at the end of the day, and then you move on.
Yeah.
So,
I started with that stuff and moved ball python. I'm backwards.
Well, that didn't exist back then. There were only a few people even talking about it back then.
There was like, dude, there was pastels and albinos.
Yeah.
Weren't like nobody could afford those. They were $25,000 for a pair of hats.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, affordability. And, you know, another nice thing, too, about ball pythons, honestly, and again, I always say this, I emphasize it, this entire economy that is the reptile breeding community is all based around ball python money. And ball pythons becoming worth more and more money now after they took a little dip. You're seeing that across the board on every species right now is going up in price.
Yeah.
Like I said, you get ball pythons are drawing people in. And then they're getting out and they're seeing what else is out there. They're finding something that might be more for them. And then they're going that route, which is awesome. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're never going to be successful in this industry.
No, you have to, like, if you, and I don't know how these people put such big money into investing into this and they don't have, you know, like the passion's not there. And they, like you said, the guy in 8 months dips out. Like, how can you get into animals, period, if you're not like 100% into it? Like that's why I'm still considered a hobby, and not just because of my size, but I run it like a hobby because I hold everything I want back. Like I feel like I run it like a hobby. I don't run it like a business. I don't know how, even if I get bigger, I would probably still feel like a hobbyist because I'm so into it. I don't want to just farm. Like if I was a business, I would just farm blue-eyed leucistics and pieds and just no other genes in them. Don't need it. Because they're all going to wholesale for $250.
Yeah,
many you can produce. That would be a business. That wouldn't interest me at all. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean,
it would get kind of boring.
Exactly, it'll get boring. You know, I'll fuck with you, but you know, the nice thing about your collection, and we both know it's true. We all know it's true. You're always adding something new. You're refining it. You have your base stuff. You have everything you have. You have your goal on what you want to produce every year. But every couple of years, it's a new, fresh batch of genes coming out of you. You're not doing the same shit over and over again.
No, I just get bored with it. Like each year, I make it a point to add, if not a new gene, or I don't always add new genes every year, but I have been the past few years. But just adding, you know, some spice into your project that you already have going. So you have to do that stuff. If you're not, like, and I learned this a long time ago, like I got stagnant for 2 or 3 years where I was kind of making the same stuff. And then it got to the point where I wasn't really selling really well. You know, I'd be at these shows and like my sales wouldn't be that good just because people have moved on to new projects. It's like, it's a fast paced thing. You can't, if you're the 3rd or 4th year into making the same kind of stuff, especially codon stuff, like people have moved on.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, the 5-6 gene stacked combos of calico that were $2,500 or $3,500 2 years later were $400, and you couldn't give them away.
Right. Right.
It's a very, like I said, this industry plays by no rules. Here's the thing. I find it's very hard to predict things, and you know, this comment I'm about to make right now, I don't think this is a tread lightly comment, but everybody wants to be. Yeah, you don't have to mark down the time on this one. We know what I'm not going to say right now. So, Justin Quebeca really changed the game. Like overnight, changed the way it's played completely. And everyone you talk to that's coming in or buying in, or even breeders that have been doing it for a while, want to be a Justin Quebeca. They want to get to that level. That is the peak right now. He's in the hobby.
And it's not just with his animals. I mean, his animals speak for itself. But there's a lot of dudes out there that are making this, you know, not as good, or he's got a lot of people on his coattails.
He does.
But his marketing is far superior.
That's it.
Far superior. He could post an Instagram story or a Facebook story, a real quick YouTube video and post a link up, and changes the market for everybody, for the whole industry. He could do, he just did one for Desert Ghost. Now you can't even buy them because it's so hot, just because of one video. That changed. That's a game changer.
He has unbelievable market influence, and one thing. So to be a Justin, it's not necessarily have to go buy every ingredient that Justin has to make the animals that Justin are making right now. It is going out and very creatively making animals and then marketing them in a fashion where it draws more attention to your business. Yeah. Like there are so many combos we can make. Any new person could be Justin, but it's not just a matter of having Justin genes or doing what Justin did.
It's because, not to take anything from him, but like,
no, not at all.
Some of these animals that he's making, they're amazing. But like, if Joe Blow made those and posted on his Facebook where 2,000 people see it, nobody would care. But it's his marketing that's making these animals so special.
Yeah. And again, he makes and overall, and this is an ass kiss, and he's not even out here. I mean, he strengthens the entire hobby. He brings in new customers that might not buy every animal from him. They're going to spread it out to everybody. This hobby is growing because of single-handedly what he's done in marketing.
It is.
So, like I said, there's no top on this. There's plenty of room for people to keep expanding. Collections are doubling every year, and we're still selling out every year. Mm-hmm. The industry is not slowing down right now as long as rules and regulations don't stop us.
Yep.
That's another thing, man. Retic breeders and berm breeders and probably even boa breeders for a short amount of time, should be nervous. Like they're coming after them every day. Like they're fighting to keep their thing legal, and like we all gotta stick together and kind of to do our part to help. Donate to USARK.
That comes up like every episode. USARK is always a hot topic we're always bringing up, and honestly, like the boa scare, our retics, berms, and everything. Like I was never huge. I had animals. I put every penny I could into it, but I had a shitty job and I didn't have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I don't have any money now either. But when the chance that boas could be taken away and all I had was boas, I'm all like, I'd be fucked.
Dude,
this is my future, and my future could be taken away. So like,
it just happens like iguanas and tegus. Those guys in Florida, like they can't even have iguanas and tegus anymore.
They can. They got overturned.
What's that?
That got overturned.
News to me. That's good stuff.
Yeah. But it could still go back, but right now it did get overturned.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, they're already starting to fight back against it again.
Yep.
It's still the issue in like Mississippi and Alabama, right? They're still banned tegus.
So I talked to an Alabama breeder, and like with the retics and everything, they have a ban on retics, berms, and so on and so forth. He had made a comment that Phil Goss said nothing has ever moved as fast as this moved. Like immediately went through the court systems and passed. Like no one could even do anything about it. It happened so fast.
Wow.
So yeah,
I mean, I don't think ball pythons are that safe. I think the only thing keeping them a little bit safer is the money that they bring in. I don't know if that's part of it, but I don't know that the people that are fighting against it really give a shit about money.
Well, no, they don't. They really don't. And, like I said, the strength of ball python money, and this is, again, I keep on saying no offense, everybody, but here's the reality of things. When everything hit the fan, who was the big retic or berm breeder that was putting a ton of money into USARK? It was every ball python breeder in the United States because they didn't want to lose their ball pythons.
Right.
And they dangled that over our head early on. We could just as easily lose ball pythons if we lose this fight.
It's possible, yeah, for sure. They want to, that like the people fighting against all that stuff would be just as happy to get rid of ball pythons too. They don't care.
Yeah, here's the thing, and again, like I said, things are always going to be changing. Now, imagine the market if tomorrow we couldn't import or export a ball python ever again. Now, fortunately, we have a million genes. This happened to berms. I mean, berms are where they are right now. They're not going to climb any further. There's not a new gene they can do to spice things up. Right. And if there is, we're just not going to talk about, the details behind that.
Right.
But there's nothing really spicy. Now, the nice thing about ball pythons, it's endless. William up in Canada made that comment. If you make 6 gene combos with everything we have right now mixed together, it's 12 million different animals we can make.
Holy
It's
shit.
never going to end. Right. Yeah. If you do the math on it, Ryan's good at math. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I heard it was 12 million.
12.5. It's all good.
Yeah. Close enough. Close enough. But no, like I said, luckily we have a foundation. But, you know, the cool thing is, similar to what happened in berms, when the berm ban happened, yeah, there were some berm breeders that were actually affected, but the price of berms went through the fucking roof. Like a normal berm went up to $200, albinos went up to $300 to $400 in some states.
Yeah. Well, dude, look at ball pythons now. Like, I mean, just this year, and I don't really know why. I don't know why it's happened, but just your normals, your byproduct, your single gene males and single gene females that you were maybe getting $50 for and had to get haggled over in a show, or $10 for your normals last year. Now they're 30s across the board for a normal male, female, pastel male, doesn't matter. Het clown stuff, het pied stuff, that the males that people just sell as normals, those are all $30 now. And last year they were 10.
Yep.
And wholesalers are paying that. Like, that's insane. I haven't seen that in over 10 years.
Less byproduct. That's the deal.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess people are just not producing enough of it.
Not producing. And, you know, I thought maybe that the import numbers came down this year based on, you know, everything going on with COVID, but they didn't. I've talked to a lot of the big importers. Mm-hmm. They're still getting in as many normal ball pythons a year. So you're right. Yeah. But, you know, we talked about this on past episodes. We talked about it with Ryan. It was a perfect storm this year for the industry. Not just this industry, the pet industry as a whole, even the plant industry. Brenda does all the plant stuff. Her plants that were worth $20 last year worth $200 this year. We got locked in our homes. We needed a new purpose. We needed something to do, and we all found something we could do in our homes. Maybe being a future reptile breeder, fucking growing plants, doing clippings, all that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. All these little markets blew up because we're stuck in our house. We need shit to do in our house. We're not spending money. Yeah. We're not going out to eat and spending money. We're not taking vacations. This money's adding up, burning a hole in our pocket. We're going to spend it on something. So,
it is funny, like when COVID hit, like the shows stopped, and then everybody's Facebook morph market and all that stuff. Every post I'd see, they're like, "Man, I'm almost sold out." Like people were selling the shit out of stuff. I don't know if it was, if people thought it was tax season, but it wasn't. Like it's still continuing.
Yep. Still to this day, sales have been great. It's been an awesome year. And again, we needed a purpose. We're all at home, and we got to find something to do at home. And a hobby is, when you're stuck at home, is everything you have. Mm-hmm. No sports to watch. Can't go play sports. I mean, it's fucking 2020. What a shitty, awesome year.
Shitty for everything except for snake sales.
Yeah. If you're in this industry or if you're making plants, like, you were golden this year. I'm sure fish went up in price this year. Clownfish probably went up for all we know. We got to bring a fish guy on here sometime.
Hey, we know some fish guys.
Got a fish guy?
We got all kind of guys.
Okay. Well, we were talking with
Ben's got 2 or 3 guys at a time.
What about the owner from Pangea? Not Pangea, I'm sorry. Leapin' Leechies.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve has a fish background, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does the aquatics as well.
Okay.
So we can have him on.
Yeah. That's your job, not mine.
This is about Chad, man. Let's not. Come on now.
Okay, well, you know what? We're at an hour and a half, so that means we're allowed to get to talking about not Chad if we want. So
I had a saltwater tank for like a year, and that broke me. Like, I love fish. It's super cool, but man, I had a 150-gallon tank set up, and I was newer at it, but like everything, I really did my research, and I just did fish. It wasn't reef. I'd get like 4 to 5 to 6 fish in there. It was 150-gallon tank. It's pretty big. Tested my water every day. I was on it. Within 3 months, everything would get ick and die, and then I'd have to start over. I did that 4 times, and I said never again. Man, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I had a Chad ball python question. If we want to get the ball pythons.
Yeah, let's do it.
We could.
This is a ball python episode.
I know. It really is our first real ball python episode. I mean, we had Bob Vu on, but it wasn't really great.
That was more
Bob
like
doesn't
a,
count as a
Bob
person.
wasn't doing
Man.
very well, huh?
that was a
Yeah.
Chinese food episode. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, we were eating dogs. Yeah, it wasn't. It was, if Bob's listening, probably our worst episode we've ever had on this show. Like, hands down, what a mistake it was bringing Babu on week one. When we were trying to start the show.
Dag.
Oh my god.
So
I know Ryan's over there writing the time down, or the time right now, 1 hour and 34 minutes.
no, that's fun. Bob's a great guy.
No,
So-
you're right. This is our third ball python episode. We had Babu.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. We had Graziani.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Right. I
How the
did
fuck
listen
did
to
you
that.
get Graziani, buddy? I know we
That was
talked
a great-
alligators,
that was
but
a
we have a lot
great-
of great balls.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, Chad,
Yes,
what do you
sir.
think about this gene?
Oh,
That
Monsoon.
is the monsoon.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Dude, I would, dude. If I had the money, I'd buy it. If I had the money to go right into that, I would buy it. I think it's awesome. We haven't seen a whole lot of combos yet. A lot of the combos, it's so dominant. It's almost hard to see what's all in the combos that I can tell so far.
Yeah.
But dude, just wait. Like, wait until you start getting like some recessos into that. Like, it's just the foundation of that is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a gene that can break through and like compete with it?
I mean, leopard's always done it, but I mean, why try to change that pattern? That pattern's already there. Like what? I mean, leopard and acid and those genes have done a lot with, probably the most with changing a pattern. But why not just go like recessive to it, like Candy or Desert Ghost or any of that stuff? Pied, Clown.
Yep.
We'll try to change the color, even hypo or any of that stuff.
I mean, I definitely like what I've seen. I do think it's gonna be one of those ones where it's gonna be a tread lightly. I do think there's certain combos we can make with that might completely wash everything out based on how the pattern looks right now.
I don't know if it was a Cine or a black pastel or a black pewter, something like that was almost patternless, right?
I don't know if it was a Cine, pewter maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember which combo it was, but it looked like it was almost like a patternless. It was dark. It looked like a super Cine, but not quite that patternless. So
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know the right combo to put to that, but just to have that as a foundation, that's a lot going on.
Well, and again, we're in the early stages. We've seen the Mojave stuff we liked. Like I said, we've seen the cinnamon stuff. We saw the calico stuff this year.
Yeah.
Mutation Creation had a leopard in the egg last year, but I don't think it made it from what I heard.
I don't know that I see that. I don't know if I saw that. Does he have the same line or is it something different?
So
You guys want to talk about it?
yeah, it was funny. He had monsoon, so we went up and visited him, and he said that he had it. He just didn't pair a pair together for a long time. He had them for a while, and he produced a monsoon. And he goes, "Oh crap!" So everything that he had to go back into his records to look what he produced from the male and female of that pairing, like all that lineage that he had. He's like, it could be possible monsoon. He had like 30 animals that could do it.
He stumbled on it, like it just randomly came up.
He had 150 holdbacks that are all Posset Monsoon.
Yeah, after he figured it out.
Yeah, it was
So-
ridiculous.
So the Monsoon Project, again, really awesome. And okay, so let's have a controversial conversation. I'm going to lose my ball python card on this.
Yeah.
So mutations that have the same name but by different breeders. So
Mhm.
you have the United States, we have Monsoon. Europe has the Moray. The Moray is, you don't know what the Moray is, do you, buddy?
I did not.
I haven't. I don't think I've seen it, but it's a cool name. It does look like a moray eel.
Okay, so what's the company that started the Stranger Project?
Is it IRES? I don't know how you pronounce it, but
Yeah, Iris.
Well, just look up Moray ball python and go to the Moray ball python page.
The IRES Reptiles.
Yep, they started the Stranger Project.
yeah.
So they have been working with Moray for a while, it looks like. They have Stranger Morays, they have
What?
Clown Combo Morays, and it appears to be the same project.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't appear to be. It's the same fucking project. Maybe I'll get proved otherwise. I'm not trying to be an asshole. Yeah, you want to bring up the picture, Ben, so I don't keep
I got
talking on this?
I got it. I have the Stranger Moray. Oops.
Yeah, the initial page, like when you first open it. So
Yeah,
go to
the
the
Dormont
single
seemed to
team
like
Moray,
lock it
and
out
then
too
we
much.
can look at some combos.
So you have just a Moray here. It's Firefly Morays. His 2017.
Well, when you clicked on Moray, it should have taken you to a page that they just talk about the Moray, and it has a big picture. So it might be on their, what's at the top of this page now? It's on their drop downs. Yeah, it's right fucking at the top.
There we go.
That one on the left might be like a clown moray or a firefly clown or like a fire clown moray.
It looks like clown. Look at the head on that thing. It looks like it would be a clown.
I like
yeah,
that.
It's got the clown head, right?
Does look like that.
They're taking all the spotting and like condensing it.
I mean, that's freaking cool. It looks like a cheetah.
It does. But again, this is something that popped up in their collection. They have a few combos. I've been looking at it for a little while. I was talking to Josh Jackies shit, man, I think I said his name wrong. Fuck it. He's not listening. I was talking to Josh this weekend about it, but kind of talking about how you have to be careful when you get to like the super pastel form, you really start reducing that pattern.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, they've got a few. I mean, the Stranger I thought was really cool. It's a really dark mutation. I mean, if you went back to that and were able to zoom in on the pattern, or even, what about the one on the right there, the Firefly? We can even look at that a little bit.
The Firefly, this one?
Oh, what's the one on the far right there? I'm sorry.
Far right is the Butter Pastel.
Oh, Butter Pastel. Okay.
Butter Pastel Mojave.
Well, that's impossible. It'd be a white snake.
Oh no, sorry, it's Moray. Sorry, I read it quick.
But they've got some other combos on their page we've been looking at. So they are a couple steps ahead, but it's really funny in the industry. Two people find out there's the same project out there and the price comes down. There's probably 10,000 people buying ball pythons around the world. Like two people haven't said it does not matter.
It doesn't matter. The fact that it's in Europe, I mean, how many Americans do you think are gonna skip an American breeder and import something from Europe? I don't even know if it would be cheaper. I have no idea what a moray costs, but I'm not gonna jump through. I'm not gonna deal with that red tape.
Yeah, I mean the moray is definitely gonna fetch a high price tag. I mean, Strangers have fetched a high price tag for a long time. I don't see why they wouldn't market and do the same thing with that project being a recessive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the prices are to that compared to a monsoon. It might be more than a monsoon costs.
It might.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's the European market's really cool. Like I spent a lot of time on the morph market on Europe just to kind of look at the weird stuff going over there. And, they're working with a whole gene pool that we're not, and we know nothing about. And they've got some pretty cool stuff going on over there, of course.
That's cool, man. When are we going to go over to the ham show?
September, any year you want, man. Any September show. I know you guys already went. You can fuck off.
No, we want to go again, man. They got the best sausage. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I like where this conversation's going. We'll all go together. If you guys want to go back again, we'll go. I mean, we just got to fly out of Toronto, man. Out of Toronto, it's like $700 round trip.
Okay. So, Ben and Ryan, what did you think about it? Was it worth going again or not really?
The whole experience was fun. It's difficult when you can't get animals out of there. We had stuff set up in advance, but if you're swinging by Amsterdam on the way, it's good to go.
Okay.
What So we'll talk about Amsterdam. What are we looking at there?
That's the leopard monsoon from Billy.
Okay, so I thought that animal didn't make it some reason. That's fucking amazing.
He produced two of them, and one of them, the female, I think the female died or the male died, and the female made it. One or the other.
Okay.
Obviously, the female made it because that's the female. So.
No, I mean that's really cool.
But leopard didn't eat through the pattern, so it just darkened it up.
It didn't at all.
I think it made the spots smaller, and it actually made the pattern more extreme.
Yeah. But the patterning goes 360 degrees around the snake. Like that pattern is on the belly as well, which is
that's the crazy thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that thing's absolutely unbelievable. Like I said, we're in the early stages on this. It's a recessive. It's gonna take a long time before we get to a lot of cool combos.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. So Hamburg.
I'd love to go just to go.
It's
Just
so
one,
it was.
just one trip.
It was a fun trip. Ryan and I had a good time. I really embraced my Jewish heritage when I was in Germany. It was interesting, but
Ben got real shitty, man. Real shitty. Walking through the streets of Germany, screaming about he wants reparations for the pain his people had.
Was he doing that in the red light district?
He was.
I had
He
my
was.
Were you pointing at your penis and asking for reparations?
It got real
say
awkward
no.
because I'm German and he's Jewish.
Okay.
Okay.
I was looking for tips.
Just the tips.
But no, so the Hamburg show itself was interesting. You see a lot of cool animals that you don't get to see normally,
Yeah.
and we went in December, so it wasn't as big as normal. And I wonder what it's going to be like, post-apocalypse here for a bit. But but it was fun. I think that we'd do it. We did screw up. I think we told this story a little bit. So I booked a room in Hamburg, Germany, and as Ryan and I are driving to the airport, and we're on the phone talking with Brian Barczyk, and I'm like, yeah, so is there anything we should do? And whatever. And he goes, yeah. And I said, we're staying in Hamburg. He goes, are you staying in Hamburg or Hamburg? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, there's two.
Hamburg or ham?
Hamburg or ham? And I was like, in Hamburg. He goes, oh, you're in the wrong place. They're like 3 hours apart. So we flew into Hamburg, Germany, not the same, and then had to drive through like a rainy snowstorm to the show. But and it's like Hamburg, Pennsylvania show a little bit.
Yeah,
you're kind of
a little bigger than that, I would hope, right?
It's bigger, yes. There's more space. There's more people.
Way bigger than that, but
yeah, way bigger. But you're crowded in. You're not allowed to use your cell phones. Like, you can't take a picture. Nothing. They're like freaking out. They have all these rules, but we picked up 4 blue-tongued skinks there, and we were happy about it.
So how were you able to get those back? You just had somebody there that would handle that for you?
Yeah, basically we did. We pre-booked. Like, we bought these animals before we got there.
Okay.
We got them. We handed them off to a broker. Basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and there's people that'll do it.
Gotcha.
Not a problem for most species.
Yeah.
No, there's quite a few companies over there. Even Madden Bell have a resource over there through Reptile Enterprises where you can get stuff done. I mean, I've had stuff come in from ham over the years, but typically just lizards.
Right.
Yeah. So
anything non-CITES is pretty easy.
Yeah. And I know there's probably conflict of interest on certain animals coming back in the country, ball python wise, because certain exporters already have a marriage with a ball python breeder where they're not allowed to send other people's ball pythons back to the United States. Like, there's a lot of fine print.
Yeah. I just want to go and have some sausage, and is it the same time? Like, is there a show closer, like Oktoberfest? Because that would be amazing.
September is pretty close to October.
That's pretty close.
Was interesting. So we went in December, and it was like Christmas time. So every town had like these Christmas
villages
set up in the middle of town everywhere. So we would go in and you'd get, bratwurst, and which was awesome. They had hot wine and all these different things like that you can eat and drink, and you're like, this is so cool. And so you'd go to everywhere. We went to this little town, and Ryan will never let me forget it, but we went to this little town, and it's like street food, and they had these little like pork sandwiches. I think they're pork, right?
It was, oh man.
Right?
The best food I've ever had in my life is little tiny village outside of Ham, Germany. They had the little Christmas festival set up like there's everywhere during that time. And you can get crepes and all these little different weird stuff you can't get in America. Obviously, you can get crepes. Shut up, Dave. But they're sitting there, and this one guy has these little pork cutlet sandwiches. This is a tiny little bun, and it has this like herb butter thing on it. And it was the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. And I can't stop thinking about it.
Was that, would they call that a schnitzel sandwich?
I don't even know, man. And it haunts me to this day. I have to go back and find out.
Man, let's do it. September.
Whatever. I don't care what it costs.
So when you guys visit, I'll take you to the German village. Me and Chad went there that one time.
Yeah?
Do you remember the German village by the house? We had the German beer and you said it was dog shit?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have any good food when we were there, though. We ended up just having pizza and raviolis, I think.
Yeah, they had it. It was closed for some reason. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. Not COVID-related closed, just closed. But no, when you guys visit, go down there.
Doing work on the place or something.
Oh, what was that?
They were doing work on it or something.
Oh, the restaurant I wanted to. They were remodeling and changing everything about it. The menu changed too, which sucks. But I got another place on the same block that's really good. Next time, any one of you guys.
Was that the place you're at now, or was that the old place?
That was when we were still on near Ben's place. It was about 30 minutes away, but we can still get there from here. We're in the same state.
Well, yeah, it's only like an hour difference, I think, right?
It's about an hour or so. We'll do some herping over that area, go have some nice lunch, that kind of thing. I'll make it worth your while, buddy.
I think that's going to be February, right? But we're not going to herp in February.
No, we're not going to herp in February. I mean, you're going to be here in February, or are you talking about the NARBC?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll be out there.
All right, tits. Yeah.
I have a quick question for you, Dave. Did I just see a salt truck drive by?
No, I think it's a street sweeper.
Oh.
Yeah. He's just kind of driving around my car, really. I don't even know if he's working. Yeah, I think he's just driving by and looking in at me and wondering what the fuck's going on, because I got all these flashlights on the dashboard facing me and all this stuff. I'm doing a lot of hand things. I don't know what's going on.
Dressed up like Tiger King. You might have forgotten.
Jake the Snake, whatever you guys think. It's a very abstract costume. You got to get in the full effect. You can't even see my hair. Can you see my hair? No, you can't even see my hair.
I can see it.
You got to see the gray ones. The gray ones glisten on this LED light.
I have you on the big screen here at my house. Ryan's screen is real big. He was like,
nice. Cell phone big over here. Shit. You want to talk about ball pythons some more? You want to talk some other species? You want to talk about shows? What do you want to talk about?
Whatever you want to ask, bud.
I have a question. How do the big breeders like Tracy Barker, like the Barkers and the Bells, like how do they sell their ball pythons? Like, is it only shows? Like, since they're not doing social media, do you think they're taking hits now over the last few years compared to previously?
No, I think they just have acquired so many like resources to sell their stuff behind the scenes. That would be I don't know them that well personally, but I mean, the Bells have like 100 employees, so they're producing so many animals that it's not going through Morph Market or shows. That's a very small percentage of what they produce. So I don't know about Tracy, man. Like, I haven't been. This is the first Arlington I just went to in like 3 years, and she wasn't even there, probably because COVID. But she had nice animals on the table, so she's still doing it. I don't know where she gets rid of her stuff at.
Yeah, no, she's done stuff over there that nobody even knows about. I think she made lavender snow pieds years ago. Like, she has things going on.
Yeah,
pieds. Wow.
But no, there's a lot of people in the industry that you don't even like. Steve Russis, great breeder. He's been doing this for a long time. Big in the candy project, big in pieds, big in clowns. He made candy pied clowns this past year. Nobody knows it, but
didn't he make like a quad?
I think he made the quad too. Oh no, he made the quad with was it caramel?
Yeah, it was caramel.
Clown and something else.
And pied.
Was it pie too? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, there's always so much going on that people don't realize. Like you said, the social media thing's so strong it puts it right in front of our face. But there's guys that have been doing this longer than social media that don't like social media, and they're still doing what they're doing, and they're making amazing animals. And then even going back to the fact that genes that were not relevant 4 years ago, that came out 20 years ago, that these guys are still working with, they're now making combos with them that people didn't even think to make. So sticking with projects like the Russo gene. Right. I have Russo clowns now. I love them. I think they're really unique.
And like I remember seeing them a long time ago, and I don't remember them being that cool. at the time. You know what I mean? They didn't, do much for me. But now I'm seeing them, and I don't know if they're combined with their genes, but it's very legit. It's a worthwhile gene to work with.
So this again all comes down to the Quebeca factor of things. We're now looking at things like that, and our head is turning. We're thinking about we can build on that, how we can create. You wouldn't think about Russo being a good clown 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and it made a really nice looking clown.
Yeah.
Even Spot Nose, man. The whole industry gave up on Spot Nose because the Powerball was not always perfect. Because the super form wasn't great. People got out of Spot Nose.
I think the Powerball looks amazing, like on its own. Like I bought a Powerball from you, a Het Clown one, and she's big. She's a little wonky, like a normal spider. She's not crazy, but I guess. I mean, I've never produced them, but I guess they are. Are they like that crazy that it's not desirable to make Powerballs?
I think it's highly variable, but you got to remember early on when people made them, it was a very small gene pool. You were pretty much breeding sibling to sibling to make a super farm, and you were making a fucked up super.
Yeah.
The same thing with like super cinnamons or super black pastels. We're making them. People are making gray matters.
Sure.
They're not coming out all twisted to shit like they did back in the day.
Right.
So, like I said, we get stuck, like even like the spider thing, man. We still make spider ball pythons. They are not these wobbly helicopter fucking retarded snakes like they make them seem.
Make a lot of spiders, and I love the gene. I think it's cool. And most of them weren't really that wonky. Every once in a while, you get like 1 out of 20 that was like really batshit crazy. And but man, for the most part, it's just people get on this bandwagon, and I don't really. It's like the pastel thing. Like people are shitting on pastel now. Like that is still a worthy gene. It still is. It still makes so much cool stuff. Like just because a couple people on the internet start to dog it, people just bandwagon, and now people don't want spiders. But spiders are still awesome, man. Like look at this freaking spider freeway and stuff that people are still doing with it. They're amazing.
The spider has tons of potential, and like even thinking back in the day with like the first bumblebee stuff, bumblebees were still hot to this day. They're not big money animals, but everybody wants bumblebees still to this day.
Like them.
It's the name.
It is the name. Again, names go a long way with marketing. And again, talking just genes, because we can talk genes for hours. The Sable Project, a nice dark pigment animal.
I worked with them for a little while, man. They were really cool. That was really dark morph. Like I had some really good sables, and I mean, just the single genes were really dark and busy.
Yep, really wacky, really cool animals, and again, just fucking swept under the rug almost. Like just no one's talking about them like they used to, and that is a great gene. The super form was fucked up, and that's why people got away from them.
Were they just wonky, or what was wrong with the supers?
They would helicopter pretty bad. Like it was some were not bad. Some were really bad, like fold their neck back and just sit there bad. It varied.
And they were allelic with chocolate, I thought, right?
That I don't know, actually, because the super form did not look anything like a super chocolate by any means.
But I thought this was a long time ago, but I thought when a sable was bred to a chocolate, I thought they made something that looked like a super, which probably not allelic, but just was really dark.
Hey, Benjamin, you want to see if there's anything on Google for chocolate sables?
Yeah.
We're going to take care of this problem right away. And again, there's a million other genes. We were talking about the spark gene. Special's big now. What's going to happen when we start making more spark clown combos in the future? You just had a clutch today for that project.
I did. Like I just really did this because I wanted some, I didn't do it for spark. I wanted to just get like some more black pastel, yellow belly, Het Clown stuff. And I had leopard stuff in there. So, just for holdbacks. So, but I can tell sparks from yellow bellies pretty well. But I had some black pastel spark, Het Clown stuff. I've never seen Puma clown stuff or super spark clown stuff. I don't know if it exists. That might be really cool.
There's Dave West is local. He's been working on that project. He had multi-gene combo clown Pumas this past weekend.
Oh, cool.
A lot of them had pastel in it, which, of course, as we know, a Puma can really wash things out. Yeah. But you still saw the potential in the animals. I got to get more pictures from him. I don't think he's on Instagram at the moment. But, I showed you the pictures. We also got that Xanthic pied from him.
Okay.
I didn't buy the ones he had in the display case. I ended up getting a different one. But honestly, I'm going to send this picture over because I got to plug this because it's fucking unbelievable. I'm sending this one over to you, Benjamin. Okay, you guys could talk while I look through my photos.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to show you what I saw at the show. I know I sent it to you guys already.
You showed me a picture of, like, what was it, yellow belly axanthic pieds?
It was the yellow belly axanthic pieds from their line. And it's its own line. It popped up from their pieds. Completely random. They've tried breeding it to the VPIs, the SKs, and other things. They've yet to make a visual. So it does not appear to be compatible. But I think the last one they got to breed it to is the Marcus Jane line. But the picture I just sent you, Ben, if you want to bring that up for them, is axanthic yellow belly pieds and an axanthic pastel possible yellow belly pied. And honestly, coolest fucking snake at the show.
Yeah, that was sharp.
It was it's my favorite animal of the year so far. Like, it's been a good year for ball pythons, but those animals were killer. Are you able to zoom at all?
A bit. I mean,
Just focus on the one screen. Knock us all off the side. Can you do that?
maybe. Let's do that. That doesn't really help a whole lot.
No. I'll have to get better pictures. We'll have to post them in the comments because you're not getting the full experience on this. One of the coolest things you'll ever see.
I zoomed in. I guess I could. Let me get back to it real quick.
Hold down control and zoom in with the scroll button.
I did do that.
All right.
Give me 1 second. I'll save it. And I'll open it up.
Yeah, just it's a really amazing animal. The yellow belly really strengthened the combo a lot. It didn't even look real on the table. Like, the blacks were so black, the whites were so white. Really unique looking pied.
Give me 1 more second.
Like 1 second, or should we have another conversation and get back to it? 1 second.
No, I got it.
Pop that bad boy into an editor, man.
Yeah, I just want people to get the full experience right now. They're not getting the full experience, especially you who are not watching it on YouTube. You are not following this episode at all.
I guess this might work. Let's try this out. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand technology. I just always thought there was a zoom.
Is that better? I don't know what it looks like on your end.
I think it looks like dog shit.
Can you rotate? Can we rotate?
Yeah, can you rotate the image? You want me to do it on my end? There you go. Now zoom. Like,
happen.
yeah, whatever that is. Get real heavy with it. There it is. I think that's better, right? How does that look?
That's way better.
Now it's way worse. Now it's way better. Like, I said that picture.
Ben. Good job.
Yeah, great job, Ben. On top of your game.
I hate all of you.
No, honestly, like, you zoom in even more. Like, look at the pixelation and the pattern on the sides. Like, really,
the contrast that Yellow Belly did to that is amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Like,
love that. The contrast itself. That's insane.
And those aren't hatchlings. Those animals were probably, I mean, they're hatchlings, but, you know, they were well started. Who knows what they're going to look like in 6 months? But again, probably the coolest axanthic pie combo I've ever seen.
They are cool. Yeah, when you sent that to me, I was pretty hyped. I couldn't believe it. You know, that it looks like that.
I literally committed to a breeder male the moment I saw those. Like, I've always liked the axanthic pie project, and the second I saw that, I had to have it.
So you bought some animals from that lineage?
I bought a ready to breed, like 900 gram proven male from them.
Very nice.
So I'm going to start mixing up because, you know, we have animals here, as you know, that came from Pete Call's collection, quite a few pies. Pete Call had an axanthic pop up in his collection randomly, an axanthic pied, and he was able to trace it back to like some of the very first founding stock that was related to a male that he held back 4 or 5 generations later, bred back to its great-great-great-grandmother, and made an axanthic pied. So I believe that great record keeping, man. So with a little bit of confidence, I believe when I run that animal through certain pie combos here, we might get lucky one of these days and make an axanthic pie, considering some of the early pied stock was possibly het axanthic initially, and we just didn't know it because we didn't hit the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Did I bore you on that one, buddy? Did you just fall asleep a little bit?
No,
Chad?
I just
Is that a
you just said
yawn?
something about not hitting good odds, and I just went to reflect all the shitty odds that I've had this year, which just made me a little bit sad.
No, I get it, buddy. Fuck. You literally look like you just fell asleep.
I know what we can talk about.
Yeah. We're going to have to edit the whole Xanthic Pied part out because of you.
What about these, Chad?
The spiders. Yeah, man. I kind of nerded out and got into spiders this year.
Talk about that.
About that specific one or just spiders in general? I can talk about spiders. So what happened was, so let me go back to my early days in the 90s. So I worked for a shop that was basically a reptile shop, but we did spiders at the time. But they were all like wild caught. You know, you had rose hairs and you had red legs, but all that stuff was wild caught. And then you had some like baboons and you had some animals back then. But I worked with them and I maintained them somewhat, but I was never like into them. And I haven't really been into them until my son, he just turned 8 this year and he has been asking for a tarantula. And I'm like, okay, well, this was the year that I bought him like a big curly hair tarantula and did a setup in his room, but I would take care of it. And within like a week of taking care of this thing, I'm like, these fucking things are cool. So I started like YouTubing and figuring out what I could get, what was available. I had no idea what the tarantula market was like, or never paid attention to them at shows whenever I would go. So apparently there's a whole world of tarantulas just like there are snakes, and what's available. And today it's so cool, man. I probably have 20 or so now. Slings and adults, just various sizes, but it's been really fun. I don't know how far I want to go with it. I don't know if I want to try to breed them or what. I'm not sure yet, but dude, it's just something different. Like snakes are great, ball pythons are great, but the fact that I only have one species, this is something totally different, to work with and pique my interest,
So that, I don't know if we told you, Dave, but we sent over a few of our adult tarantulas to Chad here. And did that male that we send you, did he mature yet?
He hasn't molted yet, so I was just going to wait for a molt.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know everything, but I would assume he's not going to mature until his next molt.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. I'm waiting on him. Like the female that you just showed, I got her this Daytona, and she's 10 years old, so she's apparently already had 2 sacks. So wow. I think I need to wait for both of them to molt and then try to pair them.
Okay.
So that could take a while. The female's off feed now, so she's acting like it's probably gonna take a long time, but she's probably gonna molt at some point this year.
Yeah, those guys are like super like. They're like 4 or 5 years old. The ones that we sent over there, they take a long time to mature. Apparently, the brachypelma.
Yeah, I was reading like that 6 to 7 for a female was like the normal maturity age.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's the lifespan on those guys?
They said females like the brachypelma stuff, like they're most of them, Mexican or South American stuff, but they're like 20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
For a female. For a female.
Nuts.
The male's what they say, 10, 12 years or so for a male.
It could be 8.
Yeah, right. So like what a male might mature in 6, 7 years, breed for 1 season and pass away. I think is that right?
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, yeah.
That is nutty.
Sounds like a much longer lifespan than a boa constrictor.
Much longer than 3 years.
Are you working with any other inverts, or is that it?
What was that? You talking about the Hamburg show? What'd you say?
No, I said, are you working with any other inverts or just the spider?
No, man. Like there's so my area is big into like spiders. So Fear Not Tarantulas is anybody in the spider world knows them. They're out of my city, and apparently they just opened up a retail shop. So in the other shop that I do a lot of business with, they have everything, man. All the centipedes and scorpions and manises and all that stuff. And I haven't dove into that stuff yet. They're pushing them on me though, man. They're like, once you get one, you're going to get into it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll cross that bridge later. But right now I'm just gonna do spiders. The centipedes, the centipedes are supposedly like the next thing. So I don't know if I want to dive into those yet.
Have you jumped on the isopod train?
No, that is a big man. They're everywhere. Like
People
I don't
go nuts.
I guess if I was breeding things that would, use it like a terrarium, like I used to, I guess it would be cool. But like, are people just keeping isopods as like pets?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I haven't done that yet.
I was a non-believer for the longest time, especially when you get to these isopods that are like $28 a piece for a little tiny bug. I was like, are you kidding me? What do you guys are? But I got some of the cheap ones for a cleanup crew kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I made this big like setup for them with cork bark and all these leaves and stuff. Like I'm going through like the woods of my backyard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I go in there and I'm feeding them, I'm watering them down and stuff, and I'm watching them all skitter around and everything. All of a sudden, I'm like 5 years old in my backyard. And I'm like, holy crap.
That's exactly what a tarantula was for me. I was like a kid again playing with bugs. And
so
cool.
It finally clicked with me once that happened. I was like, oh, I finally understand what all these people are like going on about with these little tiny pill bugs. So
yeah, that's cool. I mean, I have looked at them. I don't know. I can't tell you what they all are, but just the fact that there's color and pattern on some of these things, that is really neat.
And they are making morphs with them, which is crazy.
Wow.
Are they though?
Yeah. They're finding different color and like pattern mutations pop up in their species collections. They're isolating them out and making cultures of those, and they can reproduce it. So
See, now this is all really interesting to me because I actually had a recent conversation about with the amount of bugs in the world, and I follow a lot of mutation pages. I've never seen a bug mutation.
No?
I mean, maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but I don't know that bugs have really been worked with like other animals and like bred in captivity and line bred. You know what I mean? Other than like roaches and stuff.
I mean, seeing a grasshopper on a leaf that's bright yellow when it's supposed to be green, like, there's fucking bugs everywhere, man.
True. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, but I didn't think I thought that was like subspecies or localities or new species popping up. Like I talked to an isopod guy at the Arlington show for a long time, actually. And he goes overseas, collects them himself. He's already found new variations that never found before and brought them back to this country. I think it's one of those things that kind of like the earless water monitors. They didn't exist, but then they existed, and now they're fucking everywhere in the wild. Like they just didn't know where to find them.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But dude, and like just the spiders, and I'm sure all inverts too, but like they're still finding new spiders. And they're still like bringing imports in of like tarantulas that are just recently discovered. It's wild, man. I'm like just starting to follow that stuff this year, and it's crazy that they'll be like first captive breeding or first, you know what I mean? Like it'll be like the first time they've ever been bred in captivity, and they're finally released to the public. And those are like several $100.
Is that a $28 isopod?
That would be like a $50 isopod.
That looks like the Predator.
It does. I mean, I'm into that.
That's cool.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah. So, do you think we're going to have to do something different on the podcast when we bring up pictures? Should we start doing like descriptions to the people that are just listening? Like, really like lay out what we're looking at? Like, really in depth?
Well, maybe not in depth, but we should describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe, like if they want to go and check out the YouTube and say, hey, at this time, because they'll match up the time that they, the time that they're hearing it, it'll match up exactly to the YouTube because, it's the exact same show. So
sounds like a lot of work. I think we just lost half of them.
Yeah.
No, what you just said, look, losers, if you want to see Ryan eat a Dorito, tune in to YouTube.
It's actually 13 Doritos.
You've been counting? My man. I knew you were into that.
I mean, I'm just into paying attention.
Cool. One thing that does happen, since we're talking about paying attention, one thing that happens, so we're on this podcast, and I'll be honest, probably the most that people talk to me about stuff is like about the leaves, collecting the leaves for $1 for Josh's fry. But usually I'm like, oh, we're talking about something, and I want to get into it. So we're talking, and Ryan's like, Ben, text Limey to get some paint stuff. And I'm like, hey, Limey, do you got any paint stuff? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, buy it. Buying some paint stuff right now. We're like, I'm about to text Chad and be like, yeah, so what's up with this strap?
Then tomorrow I'll yell at Ben for not paying attention to the guest. What's wrong with you, man? Eyes forward.
Ryan, let me tell you what has been going on since you've been gone. Ryan, you can tell what's going on based on his face. I take a lot of screenshots during these episodes just because you can every once in a while see he tunes out. He'll just start reading things on his computer. There'll be flashing lights. Not you. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Ben. This is
okay.
This is done without you. He gets really bored over there sometimes. He just starts playing on his computer.
I'm not playing. I'm looking for stuff.
That's what I do when I try to watch a TV show. Like, I'll put a TV show on, like some series. My attention span is like half TV, and I'm just scrolling. Like, I can't even pay attention to TV anymore.
I'll be honest. I was watching Tiger King behind you when it was on. In the beginning of the podcast, you had Tiger King on behind you, Chad.
Oh, I do? I wish I was watching that. That'd be really cool. We got
very ironic.
Would that be ironic?
It was.
Is that irony?
You just like Tiger King, and it was on TV.
That's coincidental.
Fine.
Oh, Chad, fuck, man.
So can we hear really why we had Chad on this show? I mean, great, yeah, reptiles and stuff, but we want to hear all the crazy stories the two of you got into. Come on, that's what people want to hear.
So here's the thing. That episode is not this episode. This is we want to hear about Chad. We want to hear about snakes.
Yeah.
We will do a Chad episode where me and him are going to sit down, we're going to have some drinks, and we're going to get weird.
You told me
we had talked about what my show would be like, but we didn't prep at all for this. Was like just a total random time to come on. We talked about what it would be like. Every show we have ideas for what it would be like to do a podcast.
We're looking forward to the real one that's going to happen. But honestly, we got to be in the same room, the same environment, the four of us.
We're going to do a be like a Finley or something.
It'll be great.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for. If you guys come out to the St. Louis show in February, we'll all get together. You guys want to get in a hot tub, maybe? Maybe the four of us in a hot tub. We'll do a podcast.
I'm not going to say no.
We'll do a little drinking.
You know I can't say no to hot tub.
Oh, I know you like your hot tub, buddy. Yeah, honestly, it'll be a different environment. People should know Chad. A lot of people know Chad. Apparently 5,000 people follow him. But more people should know Chad. Chad's a great guy. He is my favorite guy in the industry and has been for a long time. My life is better because Chad's in it. Like, I don't know what life would be without Chad at this point.
I feel like I need to check my emails because I think my morph market's just going to be going off right now with all these compliments.
Bro, you can't suck a guy's dick on our podcast.
Well, you can hypothetically suck his dick.
You are breaking the rules. You get one compliment. That's the rule.
And
wait,
that's
he had a different rule before we started. He hasn't broken that rule yet.
I'm not. Well, did I say anything nice about Chad before then? That was Chad's one compliment. It was long-winded. It was a long-winded compliment. I didn't want to forget anything. That was it. But yeah, but honestly, Chad is my muse in life. Most of the things I do on a day-to-day basis is revolving around what's going through my head with Chad.
Hey, I really appreciate the plaque.
Oh yeah, did you guys see the Chad plaque? I saw the Chad plaque.
Maybe you should post that.
Chad,
what was that thing?
I'm bringing it up.
I've seen the Chad shirt. I've seen the Chad underwear. I've seen the Chad shorts. I've seen the Chad socks.
Can you zoom into the groin area?
Are there socks?
Oh yeah.
So that's basically going to be my Halloween costume. Real similar.
I can't do sex music.
That's a lot of Chad.
That's just enough Chad.
Do you remember when we took those pictures?
I wasn't there. I think Tina took them and you sent them to me. I missed that show.
Well, it was Tina and Limey, and then Brad Waffa took those pictures.
Okay, but I wasn't there. That was a Raleigh show, right?
That's true. It was a Raleigh show. I thought you were there.
No, I think I missed that one. I think that was just a couple years ago, like maybe 3 years ago. I wasn't doing that show anymore.
Right. You've already moved on.
Yeah, I moved to Missouri. It was too far of a drive. Can you zoom in any more in the crotch? I stuffed a couple things in there to really bring out Chad's facial features.
That's all of it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's about right for me. That's all of it.
Now, Dave, do you have any tattoos of Chad on your body?
You know, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, but I won't say I won't do it.
Oh my God.
He did have my brother tattoo him though.
Yeah, I did get tattoos from your brother, and I'm sure I'm going to get more from him. But I'll be honest, I got one ass cheek available. There's room for Chad on it.
Yeah, the tramp stamp's already taken up, huh?
That's a lower back tattoo, and that's nowhere near my ass. But
we can make that happen, Dave.
I'm not gonna say no to that. It's just I need the right idea. You know how this works. Once the right Chad tattoo pops up on my head, I'm gonna get it on my body. Here's the thing, Chad. I want the world to know. When we're old, we're still gonna be friends. Ben probably won't be in the hobby anymore. He'll burn out.
Wow. He's not wrong. He is not wrong. He's got you pegged.
So let me tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm covering up their faces so I can just look at you right now. This is gonna last forever, buddy. This relationship is stone. Even if there was not a hobby, I'd be coming back for more.
This has nothing to do with reptiles.
Yeah, it does, because that brought us together, buddy.
That's true. Do you remember when we first met?
Bowling?
I remember that it took a little Joe Ellis to make us come together.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You bought displays from me at the Myrtle Beach show. I think we met before that, but that was when we really started connecting a little bit.
It was a Hamburg show in PA.
Hamburg.
You made displays, and you had those rope lights in the back of them.
Yeah, the LEDs.
And so we talked about those. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even have to bring the lamps. I could just have my displays light up. And it really didn't look that good once you put snakes in it.
Well, here's the thing. The first model did not. When I had the lights in the back, it was blinding. But when you move the lights to the front, where it wasn't blinding the customer in the process, the animals looked really good. So fuck off.
Well, I'm just saying, I think Joe Ellis bought them, and then he set them all up, and it turned them on, and like you couldn't even see the snakes. It was just like light shine at you from the floor.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Those are prototypes.
Yeah.
I think it got better at that.
That's how we met.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, you want to know why I don't remember that? Because I only remember pleasure, not business, when it comes to Chad. Like, you're mixing business with pleasure right now. I'm on a pleasure only Chad thing going on.
I feel you.
Yeah, is this what you guys wanted? Are you fucking happy? You filling my heart out on the fucking podcast? Is this what you're hoping for?
How long can we go on with that?
What you wanted, Dave. This is what you wanted.
Dave's been really looking for an opportunity to let the world know. Like he lets everybody know around him, but it's not a big enough audience. Now this is like set in stone. Like everybody's gonna know.
Yeah.
Well, just wait until we get the tattoo.
There's a lot more.
We're going to talk about this tattoo idea.
Yeah, I mean, we could get matching tattoos. You know, it'll just
going to happen on the podcast.
Wouldn't it be weird to get my own face tattooed on me, though?
Well, no, asshole. You're going to get, what do you think? We're both going to get Chad on our bodies? That's the most arrogant thing you ever said, buddy. Well, like I said, I'm going to come up with something. Your face is going to be involved because, you know, it's on point, bro. Like, you know, the first part, okay, so this is how much, this whole time, you got me all stuttering right now because I'm thinking about Chad. Beginning of the episode, your whole hairline was cut off. What a beautiful hairline. And then slowly you kind of worked into the pec for a little bit.
Look at this
way. The whole face now. Now we're getting the full experience of Chad.
All right. Dude, my setup is so ghetto. I'm using like boxes of crackers and like things to like set my phone on.
Chad, I'm in a Walmart parking lot with an LED flashlight facing at my
I
face.
know you understand.
Yes. I know I got a little bit of a studio setting going on over here, but trust me,
It
you're looking
doesn't
pretty
look
good.
bad.
No, it doesn't. If I open the door and you see like the garbage in my car and stuff, then it's like a whole other thing. But you know, it's not that bad. I got toothbrushes in here, electric toothbrushes. I got all kinds of stuff in here, man.
How many fishing poles do you have in there?
I got a crystal thingy. What do they call those? The rocks that have the shiny things on the inside.
So I got a story about Dave's car.
Yeah.
So the first trip we took. So I did an Arlington show once with Dave. So I drove from Virginia Beach to Charlotte where Dave lived at the time, 6-hour drive. Just packed up real quick and then started driving to Arlington, which was another 14 hours. So I get in Dave's car, we pack it up. There's fucking, I don't know, 6 fishing poles where all the tops of the fishing poles were like by me, and there's like lures hanging like within elbow's reach for 14 hours. He's like, I might stop and fish on the way.
Well, I might stop and fish on the way. I mean, that's really it. I got to be ready for anything. Now it's a snake hook. Now I just carry around a snake hook because I don't fish as much as I used to. But you know what? That one trip was fun because we had the gas station in Louisiana.
Man, I felt like I was in danger.
Yeah.
We'll tell that story because freak.
So, I've never been to Louisiana or Texas. It was like my first trip out there. And we were in, I guess we were like outside of, where were we at? We were like very southern shore, Louisiana, driving to like, I don't know. We were in South Louisiana. And it looked like when we pulled up to this gas station, have you seen the Waterboy movie? Kind of those kind of characters were out in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. So Dave gets out. I'm pumping gas. No, I'm sitting. Dave gets out, takes his shirt up through his collar like Daisy Duke, and starts like doing like a funky gay car wash thing with like washing the windows. And man, I'm looking around, and these people weren't having it at all. It got real awkward. And then we tried to go in and like there's freaking slot machines, like gambling, and in the gas station, everywhere there was like slot machines and stuff. So we were going to go in there and like, we've been driving like all night. We're going to go in there. Not a very comfy feeling from in there either. So
we got a video of that.
Drive real quick.
Yeah. If you want to see me squeegee a window and listen to Chad just giggling like a little schoolgirl, we can post that in this video.
It's around. I don't know where I'd find it at this point. Probably on my Facebook memories. I think we posted it.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Chad and me. Every once in a while in your life, you're going to meet the right guy. And we met the right guys. Like, just when we're together, it's like no other friendship I have. Like, we are never not happy. We're always bringing something new to the table. Like,
never tired either.
Oh, what was that?
So we're never tired either. We just stay up. I go to bed at 9, 10 at the latest normally. I'm up till 3 or 4 in the morning when Dave's around.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Why would you want to waste sleep when you got Dave around? Like, we're going to nip that in the butt, bud. Like, you don't want to miss a waking moment. We're on the same fucking page.
Sleep later.
Yeah. This is, it's really funny. We're like 14 solid minutes into me talking about how much I love Chad right now. I don't even know if people are still
listening. I was actually timing it. I was like, wow, this is really getting extensive. This is pretty good.
Yeah. This is really.
I didn't even think we were going to talk about snakes.
I really didn't either. Next episode, it'll be a little less snakes. Because the thing is, like, we're sitting here, like, we always bring up story time on the show. And right now, here's the problem with me and Chad's relationship. Every goddamn time we hang out, it's a new experience, and I can't remember them all now. They're being pushed out of my brain by better experiences.
They just keep happening. Yeah.
It's never. Even Six Flags was nice, man. Maybe there wasn't any crazy highlights, but I had a great time. But shit, we ate chicken feet. Well, I watched you eat a chicken foot.
I tried, dude. I mean, like, I like to experiment, and like when you hang out with Babu, if you were willing to experiment with food, you're going to do it around him. He's always trying to eat some shit you've never had before. So I tried chicken feet, and I was like, so I'm like trying to eat it like a chicken wing. I'm like, that doesn't work. There's nothing on there to eat. at all. But when you watch Bob, he takes the whole chicken foot, puts it in his mouth, and then just spits out bones like they're sesame, like dude, like sunflower seeds. I'm like, no, I'm out. I don't know how to do that.
Whole plate of them. Just went to town. Like,
so we go get Mexican, and Mexican places here. I don't know. I didn't think they were really that different everywhere else. It's Mexican food. So we sit there and we're ordering food. Bob's like, "You got any cow tongue tacos?" I'm like, "What?" I ordered steak, chicken, fish, whatever. I'm like, "That's real. That's a real thing." And they were like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "They have it everywhere."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Well, fuck, I gotta try that now. I've never had cow tongue before." It was amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was delicious.
It was better than steak. It was amazing. I'm like, how come I haven't eaten this?
Because it's a fucking cow tongue.
Cow tongue tacos.
So I don't know if Bob enjoys these things or if he just likes the reactions he gets when he sticks a chicken foot in his mouth.
Probably, but I don't know how anybody would like the chicken feet. That's got to just be a, I don't know. I mean, there's no way you like that. It's got to just be for attention. But they throw the shit out of them there, so apparently they eat them. Someone liked them.
Yeah.
Bob was very convincing when he told us it's the most expensive part of the chicken.
I don't believe him.
Pound for pound.
Here's the thing, I can't argue it. So I don't know.
No,
like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
When we went to visit down at Bob's place, he was like, all right, I'm going to take you to this really good place to eat. And we're like, okay. And we said, we're in your town. We'll pay. You pick the place. And he was like, all right, great. All right. So we go there and it's a gas station. And we're buying
here we go.
Baked potatoes in a gas station. Like they're just a big baked potato filled with just insanity stuff. And Ryan, like, I'm like, all right, so I'm eating it and it's okay. It's good. And Ryan's like looking at me like, we're in a gas station eating baked potatoes. Like, is this safe? Like, is this what we're going to do down in Georgia? It's funny.
So, we have a story. Oh, another story about food with Dave. It's another Louisiana story. We're in Louisiana and we're like, man, we really need to stop and get, I think it was in the morning, like breakfast time. Maybe. I need to get Cajun food. I'm like, yeah, dude, I live in Virginia. I don't get Cajun food here. So we're like pulling into this fucking ridiculous truck stop. There's a fucking tiger, a real tiger in a cage. There's a real tiger in a cage at this gas station truck stop thing. I'm like, what the fuck? So we go in there and there's like a restaurant. It's a truck stop. And he's like, let's eat here. I'm like, okay, cool. So we get all this, we order everything. Just trying to get, we're going to try it all. Dude, I couldn't even, like, I can eat a lot of weird stuff. I couldn't even get half the shit down. It was disgusting.
It was bad.
Really bad. Like, I'm like, this can't be what Cajun food really is. I got to give it another go because that was the last time I tried Cajun food.
Yeah, they really drew you in with the tiger.
The tiger.
And then they just served you dog shit food. Like, it was the worst Cajun food I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm going to have to redo on that one. Next time we go out that way, we'll have some Cajun.
So,
not a truck stop.
I don't want to be mean to Ryan and Ben because I'm so mean to them always. But you ever think of your caliber of friendship with Bob might level up to the places he takes you for food?
I think it was just a close place. I don't know why he picked it. It was like lunchtime, sort of. It wasn't really like a dinner.
To be real, we showed up at Arlington, and Ben was like, "Yo, Bob, what's going on?" Bob, blah, blah. And Bob just like, "Yeah, man, what's up?" And just kept walking.
Brushed you off.
Yeah. He talked to me a little later, but yeah, acted a little bit like he didn't know me at first.
He came by the table and was like, "Hey, Ryan, what's going on?" But he just not. I don't think he likes Jews, really.
Well, he likes me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's just me.
I guess you guys are as Jewish as each other, so.
Yeah, we got a good thing going there too. I mean, it's no me and Chad, but I like Bob.
Yeah.
But you know what it is?
It's just Ben's personality. Nobody likes Ben.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Ben.
Oh.
They just don't like his personality.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So this is the part of the episode where we've clearly peaked because we stopped talking about Chad.
Started arguing amongst ourselves.
Yeah. I I mean, I'd be willing to cut this short with the plan for a follow-up like we had planned in the first place.
Yeah, man, we'll do part 2.
Yeah, I'm all about a part 2. Get a little liquor involved, some hot water. I think we'll have a good time.
All right.
Liquor and hot water. I'm in.
So the whole time, me and Dave, this is always like at a show, when we're talking, he's like, hey, we need to get on a podcast. I'm like, I don't want to just go on and nerd out to snakes. I mean, I'm about that, but that's like, let's do more of like, I mean, we touched on a lot of this stuff on this episode, but just the nostalgia of where everything started, you know, is what is super interesting. And like Graziano talked a lot about it too, which was really cool. Yeah. I loved hearing those stories from the early days. So that's what's fun for me.
Yep. I would love to dabble. That's next time. Once we get drinking, it's amazing when you drink a little bit, the brain starts working a little better sometimes.
Yeah.
Things out what it is. And I'll be honest, we really tried taking the podcast this way until you couldn't remember a person's website I was trying to explain to you. And then we had to go a whole nother route. Like, you completely fucked up the entire rhythm of the entire podcast by not knowing that webpage.
On the hook.
That's funny. Is Ryan you looking one up, Ryan? What are you doing?
I'm sorry, I'm telling my wife where the car key is. It's on the hook.
I just figured she was telling you it's almost midnight. It's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's could be.
Look, Dave, I know you got to go to bed.
Well, I have to go to bed eventually. We can keep doing this, but we're gonna have a part 2 with Chad. I'm always really excited. This is the longest podcast we've done in like 20 weeks. Like, we usually top off at 2 hours, so we're already way past that. I mean, this last 30 minutes was all fluff, you know, just me loving Chad, but, you know, it's still nice. And, hey, let me tell you something. These last 30 minutes flew the fuck by.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, take us out then, man.
Want to take us out? Well, can we do a catchphrase?
Yeah.
Love a dub.
We exiled that out in the first week when I couldn't say it properly. Just didn't roll off my tongue the way we wanted it.
Yeah.
So many things roll off your tongue so well.
It's Halloween, so in good spirit with the costume. All I got to say is if you watch porn with big penises, you might not be straight.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chad, for coming on. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks. This has been fun. We'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
All right, guys.
All right.
Good night, Dave and Ben and Ryan.
All right.
Bye.
I already miss you, buddy.
Bye. Miss you too. Love you, mean it.